Yeah, we're back. Sorry about that again. Sometimes you have technical difficulties in the studio, so I do want to apologize to all listeners and all viewers. Um, Hopefully, this will fix the problem, or has fixed the problem, shall I say? Um, we shall see. You know, so I do apologize. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you much more clearly now.
Is it better? Am I not muffled anymore?
You don't sound as, I guess, loud and clear as you were before I joined, but you don't sound muffled. You just kind of sound like you're a little further away or something.
All right.
But
Well,
it's clear.
I'd
It's
rather
clear
sound
enough
clear.
that we can actually, talk.
All right. Well, I'd rather sound clear enough and not muffled
Yeah.
than muffled. All right. Cool. Technical difficulty. I mean, that's what happens. You know what I'm saying? It happens. Technical difficulties happen. So yes, there's that, and we're here. So I guess that's all that matters. We're here. We're in the building, and so it's
Lord,
good.
you done made me need a drink already.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, have one for me too. Have one for me too. I thought everything was right. I mean, I did some test runs and I thought it was good, but anyway, we're here. That's all we can do. I'm not playing the intro though. Again, I'm not gonna do that. Time we've already wasted
Okay.
15 minutes just on some technical difficulties. So, yeah.
Okay. So first, I want to say, when I first came up with the name "It's Hot Topic," it was mostly because I always got something juicy to talk about. But then I started thinking
Mhm.
like maybe I should be more deep, right? Maybe it should mean more. So I decided that the hot is going to stand for honest, open, and transparent.
Say, wait, what? Say that
Mm.
again.
Honest, open, and transparent.
That's what HOT's gonna stand for now.
For me. Yeah, I don't know about nobody
Okay.
else.
Okay. Well, I mean, hey, hey, that's what you want to go with. I mean, go with it. Go with it. Go with it.
Thank you, Owens. Thank you. I like it. I like it. I might have to get a t-shirt made or something that says it. How's y'all Tuesday? You had a rough day today, Paul?
Typical day. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get the work in and stuff like that. And then we was sparring tonight, so I had to dash to one gym, finish that, then dash over here. You know what I'm saying? So it's just been a lot of dashing and stuff today. But I'm here, so it's all that matters, right? We
So,
here. We in the building.
today it was literally like 68 degrees here. But
Um,
listen, but tomorrow they're saying we're going to have snow. It's going to be, oh my God, we're having snow. It's going to be really bad. It's going to be super icy. So like today at like 1:30, they already closed schools tomorrow and Thursday.
okay.
And
Well, I hope there's a blizzard, and I hope it lands right over your house. Just saying.
well, it doesn't matter
I mean,
because
that's just
they
how I
all
feel
they
about it.
already texted me and told me that I'm off tomorrow. They're closing tomorrow. And I'm like,
I hope it.
because I think the reason I'm in Oklahoma. I think the reason is because they're saying it's supposed to happen in the middle of the day. So I'm guessing they don't want people to be already at work or already at school and then have to come get the kids because it's getting bad. Um, Nitra says, my sister teaches in OKC and she said their school is closed the rest of the week. I'm sure it will just be a dusting of snow. It's always, so, and to Oklahoma, I guess it's not really a dusting, but it's always a dusting of snow, right? It's literally like melted by the middle of the next day. Normally, you know what I mean? Like the last time it snowed here, it was enough to cover, the grounds or whatever, but Brian was like, he was going to take our goddaughter out the next day because he was off. He was going to take her out to play in the snow. the next day, the next morning, the sun was shining, the snow was gone. So we'll see. I really don't want to be, because Oklahoma, like they just kind of shut down this. And like I went to pick Brian up from work last time. The streets was empty. I was like, did the rapture
Well,
come? Like,
I hope it dumps at least 15 feet of snow. I hope most of which is around you and on your forehead or something. Because you had 68-degree weather heat, there. And I think it was probably maybe a high of 40, 45 here today.
yeah, and I
Maybe.
heard on the radio they were saying that it
Maybe.
was, but because of the wind chill or something, it was like below zero. It felt like below
Um,
zero.
yeah, I mean, not today, not that bad, but it was still pretty frightful outside. You know what I'm saying?
It was
Pretty,
frightful. The weather
pretty
outside
frightful.
is frightful.
Yeah, pretty much, definitely frightful, definitely, absolutely, definitely frightful.
Okay,
I didn't really
so
appreciate
are y'all
it.
ready to get into it?
Yeah, I mean, we get into it. Absolutely, we can. I'm
Okay,
down to get into it.
so if you watched our show Sunday, we ended the show Sunday where we started talking a little bit about people having baggage and bringing baggage to relationships. And well, it really started off when we were talking about when people want to ask questions like it's an interview to try to get to know you. And we agreed that, usually just a line of questioning is not the best way to get to know someone, because they're going to just answer the question you asked, and B, they're probably going to come up with the best answers they think you want to hear, as opposed to natural and organic conversation where things will just come out because we're talking, right? Of course, you can ask questions like, what's your favorite color, stuff like that. But, like Paul mentioned, you want to ask me about something that happened in my childhood, and I don't even know you like that. Like, I don't even know if I'm ready to share that much of me, or that deep part of me with you yet. We're still in the getting to know you phase. But it moved us to a point where we started talking about, when is it time to start unpacking some of your baggage? And I said, in my opinion, that everybody has baggage. Now, you may not, everybody has at least carry-on baggage, right? Now, you may not
Hmm.
have the baggage that might need to be checked in, right? Because some baggage, when you fly, if you ever flown, some baggage is too big, it's too heavy, it's too much. You got to check that in. It's not going to fit in the overhead, right? You got to check that in, and in a lot of instances, you got to pay to check it in. So there are some things that if they're that big and they're that heavy, you can't you shouldn't even try to fly with them, right? You need to ship them or something. So there's some baggage that I do agree needs to be dealt with. When you hear people say you got to do your work, you got to work on you got to get to know you, that's that baggage, some of that baggage that you got to try to deal with before bringing it into a relationship, because we agree that your childhood, your upbringing, the things that have happened to you, your experiences, they kind of shape and form your thought process and the way you interact with people, whether it be friendship, relationship, work wise, whatever it is. So, but I don't believe that there's anybody, literally anybody, walking around on earth that has zero baggage.
Some people like monks, I don't think they have any baggage because they in the Shaolin temple, so I don't
I,
think they
I
have
don't,
any
how do we know
baggage.
that? They had lives before they became monks.
Yeah, but see, once you enter into monknism,
Monkism.
yeah, then you get
I
rid
think
of
it's
all
called,
that. And
isn't it called Municism?
I don't know. I think it was monknism is what I read when I last time I had Googled. I
While
think it
you
was
were
called
considering
monknism.
becoming a monk at one time?
I did. I was gonna go and I was gonna shave off all my hair, and
You
I
know,
was gonna be a monk.
you can't have sex or anything as a monk, right?
Well, there you go. There you have it. That's why I'm not there. And yeah, I gave up on that one. Yeah, I gave up right on that one. I was like, I won't. I guess I won't reach my spiritual enlightenment. You know what I'm saying? So I'll just go ahead and just walk around with these bags in my hand. Yeah, yeah.
But
So,
like as Erica Badu says, you got to pack light, right? So everybody, I believe, has some sort of baggage from somewhere,
mhm.
but you got to pack light. Like you can't bring all, like you can't, like, you know what I mean? You can't bring the whole moving truck full of baggage, right? You got to deal with some of that shit before you try to bring it into a relationship, right? So what how much baggage would you say? Is there a way to say how much baggage is acceptable to bring to a relationship?
I don't know if there's an acceptable amount of bags to bring. It's kind of like, just like, when you going on vacation, right? Sometimes you pack a little heavy because you think you can slide it on the plane. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if there's an acceptable amount because sometimes we have to even admit that we have baggage,
Yeah.
or sometimes we have to admit that our baggage may be a little bit more for someone to deal with than we're ready to accept and deal with. So
And
I
and
think
the and
it's
I
quite
think
big.
the reason why it may be more is because I think the baggage becomes more and more difficult to handle. Someone else's baggage becomes more and more difficult to handle the more that they haven't dealt with their own baggage, right? Because when we bring our carry on, we usually what you bring on your carry on is stuff that you've handpicked, that you feel like I want to keep this stuff with me, right?
Yeah,
So I think a lot of times in relationships, at some point when you're like, I can't deal with this baggage, is because you didn't go through that baggage before you carried it on. You just decided,
this is true.
this is the bag I'm bringing, right? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And you didn't personally go through that baggage before you brought it.
Right.
Now we both trying to sit here and sift through this baggage, and we like, well, why didn't you pack this? You're gonna need this. You brought this instead. We don't need this. And you like, well, this is what I brought. This is what we gotta deal with.
Yeah, this is true.
So I know this is making perfect sense to you and I. Is this making sense to our viewers and our listeners? We need to know because no one's commenting right now. It's like they sitting back like, let me see what we talking about first. Is any of this making sense to y'all? So while I'm waiting on to answer that question, you do know that there is a such thing as an emotional intelligence, right?
Um, yeah, I mean, I do now. I mean, you're bringing it to light, so I'm sure you've done your research, and so I'm sure you're about to drop us with some of this intelligence in which you are talking about. So, I mean, go ahead and drop knowledge.
So emotional intelligence or your EQ, they are now saying they think that this, like what in my research that I read, they're now saying that they think that your EQ is more important than your IQ in most instances.
Okay.
So emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions. Now, just that first thing right there, I feel like we've all come across somebody who didn't even know how to. Maybe they didn't manage them, but at this point, they don't even recognize them in their own emotions, right?
Hmm.
So you have to be able to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions, and recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of others.
Mm, this is true.
Okay.
This is deep. We're going deep here. We're starting to swim out a little deeper into the water.
Okay. In practical terms, this means being aware that emotions can drive our behavior and impact people positively and negatively, and learning how to manage those emotions, both our own and others.
This is true.
So, managing emotions is especially important in situations where we're under pressure. For example, when we're giving and receiving feedback, do you know people that, just don't take constructive criticism? Like you can't tell them nothing that they perceive as negative about themselves. They just can't handle it. They can't receive it. They don't want to listen to it. Those people are lacking emotional intelligence.
But I guess the only other question then would have to be is on a sliding scale, like who is rating this intelligence and
Well, there are
who's the, you know what
actually
I mean?
there are actually quizzes and things that you can take. I've taken the quiz. I've also facilitated this training at my job. So There are quizzes that you can take, and there are questions that you answer the same way that you would any test. You know what I mean? The love language test, the IQ. There's questions that they ask you, and then they come back and they say, okay, you have a high emotional intelligence level. And even on mine, it said I had a high emotional intelligence level, but it also said, but these are the areas that you need to pay attention to moving forward.
Now, okay, but if it's a test like you say, right? I guess the test is only as effective. The is only probably as effective as you are willing to openly answer the test, the questions on the test, right?
Well, that's
Because
true, right? Because if one of the questions is, are you able to accept constructive criticism? And then you say, oh, I strongly agree with that, but you know that's not really the truth, then that is going to skew what it says your
right,
emotional intelligence is.
right.
So things like
Mhm.
when you are giving and receiving feedback, when you're meeting tight deadlines, dealing with challenging relationships, not having enough resources, navigating change. And I've heard you say that change is something that you're working on your ability to navigate, right? So working through setbacks and failure.
Mhm.
And so these are, that's what your emotional intelligence affects your ability to deal with those type of situations. This emotional intelligence thing was created by two researchers in 1990. And then there was, books and stuff like that that came out. So they say, why is emotional intelligence important? It's a scientific fact that emotions precede thought. Have you ever thought about that?
No.
I mean, like, what you have you like, and I guess it's true, right? Because normally your emotions are the things that create those thoughts in your mind, right?
Right. Emotions make you cry sometimes. Just
When
saying.
emotions run high, they change the way our brain functions, diminishing our cognitive abilities, decision making powers, and even interpersonal skills.
And who did this study? Harvard?
Well, this has been going on since 1990, where the researchers started developing it. Peter Salovoy and John Mayer were the first people that brought this about, and then Dan Goleman wrote a book called Emotional Intelligence in 1996. So it's just been kind of ballooning since then. Sneezy says, thermostat, you control your emotions, whereas a thermometer is controlled by the outside elements. Right. That's a good analogy. Exactly. Are you a thermometer or are you a thermostat? Um, Understanding and managing our emotions and the emotions of others helps us to be successful in both our personal and professional lives. At a personal level, emotional intelligence helps us have uncomfortable conversations without hurting feelings. Manage
Mm.
our emotions when stressed or feeling overwhelmed, or improve relationships with people we care about. So if you feel like you're struggling in any of those areas, then you know there's some work to be done in your emotional intelligence.
Mm. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not doing this
mm,
with you tonight, Paul. I'm not doing this with you tonight,
mm,
Paul. You.
I
I'm
don't
not
know
doing this
about
with you.
that. I'm not sure about that. So where did you, okay, so when you took your test, where did you rank amongst, and is there like a, I don't know, is there like
So it doesn't come
a
back. The
level?
test doesn't come back and give you numbers.
Okay.
It doesn't come back and give you numbers. It simply comes back and says you have a high emotional intelligence, you have a low emotional intelligence, you have a moderate emotional intelligence, and then it tells you the areas that you need to work on to improve your emotional intelligence, right? So mine did come back and said I had a high emotional intelligence, but it also said that one of the things that I should pay attention to is taking care of myself more, that I spend so much time concerned about others and making sure that I guess my emotional intelligence is always in check, particularly when it comes to others, that I may not always take care of myself in the process.
And how would one take this test? Is there like a manuscript? Is there like a book? Like,
You
if I want to test my emotional
just
intelligence,
Google emotional intelligence test.
And just that's it. That's all we got to do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And for
All right.
me, like when I started looking into it, I looked at like, things that ended like an edu or org, because those websites mean that they have done actual studies, and they are, it's not just somebody who decided to create a website because they felt like it.
Right.
Um, at work, emotional intelligence can help us resolve conflicts, coach and motivate others, create a culture of collaboration, and build psychological safety within teams. So, emotional intelligence is a skill that can be learned and measured. Our level of emotional intelligence can be measured as our emotional quotient. That's why they call it EQ. And there are tools that can measure this on an individual and organizational level. So, the 7 signs of emotional intelligence, of strong emotional EQ, strong EQ, getting along well and or in the interest of others. Self-awareness. So they say that there are 4 different things that they measure emotional intelligence by: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management are the 4 main components of emotional intelligence and how it's measured: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management.
Okay. I mean, it looks like you done like really did some like you done really did some homework and stuff. Like you was sitting there like jotting and taking notes.
Well, because I don't like to talk about things that I haven't really, you know what I mean? Okay.
Hmm.
So, signs of strong EQ are getting along well, and well with others and in the interest of others. Self-awareness of your strengths and your weaknesses, right? Is it hard if somebody asks you, well, tell me about your weaknesses? Is it difficult for you to tell them what your weaknesses are, or do you feel like you have a very keen awareness of what your weaknesses are?
Well, I think a lot of times when you ask somebody or somebody asks you like, well, tell me your weaknesses, when it comes to that, a lot of times, we as people, we know what our weaknesses are, but sometimes we don't feel comfortable or we don't feel
Well, yeah, that's why
aware.
I asked you, do you know what your weaknesses are? I didn't ask you to list them. I'm just asking
Do
you,
I
do
know
you
mine?
feel like you know what your weaknesses are?
Oh, yeah, I know my weaknesses. I mean, yeah, but sometimes, you don't want to tell people your weaknesses because then people will take what you tell them
Yeah, and you
as
know
a
what?
way
And that's
to
the
then
next thing we're going to get
hurt
into.
you
We're going to get
or
into,
like
when I
throw
finish
or
this,
throw
we're
or
going to
throw it
get
back in your
into
face.
trust issues.
Hmm.
Because that's what that is, right? That's a trust issue. I don't want to tell you my weaknesses because I have trust issues. And I know a lot of people don't want to say they have trust issues. They think they've overcome whatever, right? But I feel like we've all, if you're at least 20 years old, we've all been hurt. I mean, even my 17-year-old daughter was over here the other day. She was all crying and sad behind some little boy. You know what I mean? And I gave her the talk, but I also knew how she felt. So I let her feel her feelings, right? So
Hmm.
every time something like that happens, that just like adds a notch onto your trust issues, right? Like it's like if you were making a snowball, right? Every time something happens, the
Okay.
snowball get bigger and bigger and bigger because you keep adding to that ball and adding to that ball and adding to that ball. So it might become an avalanche.
Okay.
Sneezy says you can also look into, right, 7 habits of highly effective people is really the same premise mostly, as your emotional intelligence. And a lot of jobs, well, I've read the book personally, but I know a lot of jobs will have you read stuff like that. So, operating with integrity is a sign of strong EQ. Self-awareness of feelings, which is why, so remember, even you take it to like the smallest little subjects, right? Remember what I was saying, that the reason why a lot of people cannot be good side chicks is because they don't understand the box that they're in, and they now that they agreed to something, they don't know how to stay in that space that they agreed in, right? And that is, I think, a self-awareness of feelings, and you no longer being able to manage them.
Right. Or, I mean, it could just be something simple as, sometimes people just I don't know. Some people just don't. They are. You could look at the other way around. They are self-aware, and they're so self-aware that now they're like, you know what? This side chick role
But here's the
ain't for
thing:
me.
if they were self-aware from the beginning, then they would have known. I have a girlfriend. It's that says to me, Mama B. I think she's still on here. That has said to me, I ain't no side chick. Like that's not for me, right? You know what I mean? She's self-aware of the fact that like even if I was trying to convince myself that this is what I wanted to do, I know that ain't for me. And there are a lot of women
Mhm.
that are able to admit that like that's just not what I can sign up for. They're self-aware of the fact that like they cannot, and I think it's more than just like the stigma of I don't want to be no side chick. I think that a lot of women and or men have just know that like I know that that's not something that I will be able to manage emotionally, physically, whatever it is. So if you were self-aware from the beginning, then you wouldn't put yourself in a position, or you would at least say from the beginning, I'm not really sure. I don't know that I've ever been a side chick before. I'm not really sure this is for me, but I'm willing to see if I can handle it. Then
Or,
when you come back and say, hey, this ain't for me, he already or she already knows you said from the beginning you weren't sure if this was something you can handle.
or it could be a situation where, um, sometimes you might not realize or you might not become self-aware of something until you were actually put in the situation. Because if you've never been that before, let's say you've never been a side chick or a side dude or just what have you, you've heard the term, but you've never actually been that, then all of a sudden you're thrust into that position or that role. Now you become self-aware of that situation, and now you see that it doesn't suit.
I
You know what I'm
don't
saying?
know. I call bullshit because here's what I think. Everybody knows what it takes to be a side chick, whether you've been one before or not, right? Everybody knows that if you're a side chick, it means you're not the main chick. So it means you're not number one on the list, right? Everybody knows that if you're a side chick and you're not the main chick and you're not number one, that you're a secret, that you guys will not be able to be openly public about your relationship, that you ain't posting pictures and depending upon how the dude carries it, you may not go on dates, but everybody who signs up, who is saying side chick, everybody knows that a side chick is not getting as much of his time as his main chick would be getting. Like there are some fundamental things that I feel like everybody knows a side chick is doing. So I call BS on that.
I mean, again,
You know that you'll be lying. Like, certain things you just know as a side chick are what are in the job description, right? If somebody says, hey, can you be a pilot? You may not have ever flown a plane before, but you know there are certain things that are on the job description list that you probably can't do.
yeah, but I mean, I think that again, even if we go to, or we take it simpler than that, as far as let's say you're on your job, right? You know at your job, right? There are certain things that you're supposed to do. There's certain things that you're not supposed to do at your job. You know your job description, but just because you know your job description, or just because you know the role that you're supposed to play, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to end up playing that role because you think, you know what, these rules don't apply to me, right? So now you end up taking it out of, you know what I'm saying? So now you're off, as you say, you might be off script. You know what I'm saying? So again, because so you might be more self-aware and be like, well, I know what them other side bitches do, but I know what I'm gonna do. Okay.
Then that
So
doesn't
yeah,
make
you
then
might.
that doesn't make you more self-aware. That makes you in denial. That makes you think that you're going to
I
change
mean,
what
well,
is.
listen,
That's not
listen. When,
self-aware.
when
That's denial.
I mean, I mean, you can. I mean, what I'm saying is, you can call it denial. You can call it self-awareness of the denial. But either way you look at it, or you want to dress it up and phrase it, that's just how it is, right?
Nitra
Perfect
says,
example.
I think I'm self-aware and I know I'm not side chick material, but still signed up for the position a time or two. Well, hey, listen, but here's the thing. You knew what you were signing up for, was the only point that I was making, right? You knew what you were signing up for. And you may have even known this isn't really the shit that you want, but I'll take it for this time I'm aware of the fact that I'm settling for less and I'm going to take it. You know what I mean? It's like if you really need a job, right? You know that you have a college degree, you have all these qualifications, but you also know that you got needs that need to be met, bills that need to be paid, itches that need to be scratched, right? And so you might take the job at McDonald's for right now because there are some things that you need to handle and take care of until you can get to a better place.
Mm. I still think that God, that hurt. Sorry about that. I hit my knee and it hurt really
Yeah,
bad.
when you get old, it hurts even worse.
You man, listen. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you.
Listen,
But I just think I think sometimes, like I said, people try to bend the rules, and sometimes rules just don't. People think the rules don't apply to them, or they can change the rules, or as we go along. I mean, please, how many times have you been at a job? You know you ain't supposed to be on your cell phone at work, but you'll do it anyway. What? You know what I mean? So I think it's the same situation. I think sometimes people think the rules don't apply to them, or they can change the
yes,
rules, they can bend
but
the
when
rules,
you do it anyway,
whatever.
you do it with the full knowledge that if you get caught, there's a possibility there will be some disciplinary action. So again, I think that when people do it anyway, they do it with the full knowledge that there's a possibility they can get hurt in the end. There's a possibility that there will be some consequences of some negative shit that they didn't necessarily want, but they were aware of it before they went into that situation.
This is true. What else you got for me?
So anyway, um, some ways to increase your emotional intelligence. You can start utilizing an assertive style of communicating, right? Because don't you hate talking to a person and you're like, just say what it is you have to say. And they're like hemming and hawing and you know what I mean? And you still like, what are you saying? You need to work
Mm-hmm.
on being more assertive in your communication, being more clear, being more concise, this is what I'm saying. So that's one of the ways that you can increase your emotional intelligence.
Mm.
You
Now,
can,
go ahead.
huh?
Go ahead.
You can start utilizing active listening skills because sometimes the problem isn't that you don't have a problem. The problem isn't that you have an issue asserting yourself in conversation. The problem is you have a problem listening. So now we can't communicate because you haven't even heard anything I've said. So you have to now make a
Okay.
more conscious effort to be a better listener. Not a hearer, but a listener. And hopefully we're all aware that there is a difference between hearing and listening.
I mean, of course. I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, I think we know. I think we know. A lot of people know. But even if we do know, a lot of people still don't do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Still don't do it.
But then you're like, I don't understand why we can't, get on the same page. Because you're not fucking listening to me, right? You know what I mean?
Right. So okay, remember, okay, so the other day we was talking, right? When I was saying to you, well, when you and Brian were talking about how he would just say, well, why don't you just tell me what it is? And you'd be like, well, why don't you just figure it out? Isn't that sort of like the same thing? Like, wouldn't it be easier just to tell him and have him guessing? But then it was like the backlash to that was, well, if I tell you now, I feel like you didn't really want to do it.
Well,
So isn't
but
that the same thing?
so there it's like six in one and half a dozen in the other, right? Because on the other hand, I was feeling like if you were actually paying attention and if you were actually listening to me any other time, like we just talked about, just regular conversation, organic conversation, then you will hear the things that I say that I like, that I love. Something come on TV and I'm like, oh, I love flowers, right? I shouldn't have to tell you now in this conversation that one of the things that I would like is flowers because you've been paying attention, you've been
Yeah.
listening to me prior to this. So, and from
But
my point
whatever,
of view, it was like, so you're just not listening or paying attention to me at all if I still have
you
to give you a
know,
long list of things to do.
well, I mean, okay, here's the thing. I'm going to say I get your point with that. I get where you're trying to go, but I'm going to say that I disagree with that analogy. So maybe we should try a different analogy because if I'm sitting there with somebody and you say, oh, wow, I like flowers. For men, that's not going to register, okay, let me go ahead and get you some flowers. Men don't register that because I guarantee you, if it was the same way, I'm a man, if I'm like, man, whoa, I sure do like that car. Are you about to go run out and
If
get me a
if
car?
I have
Hold on,
for
hold
me,
on,
for
and then hold
Ebony, and
on.
I can only speak for
And if
Ebony.
I use and if I use the approach, well, baby, shit, I told you I like cars. I
No,
mean,
well,
it
first
doesn't
of
register
all,
that.
you're speaking now of a really big ticket item, but I can tell you that for
But
Ebony,
I'm just saying.
if I have the means to go and buy you a car, I will.
Well, I'm just saying that it's not.
So it's
It
been
doesn't
plenty of
register
things
like.
that Brian has said to me in passing. Now, and some stuff he has picked up on, right? So he has learned that when it comes to gifts, I don't necessarily need the most expensive gift they had in the store. What I appreciate is gifts that you put thought into that are personal to me, right? So he's learned that because that's what I do for him. And anytime I give anybody a gift, I'm all about making gifts personal, right? So I'm all about, he likes watches. So I bought him a watch case that had his initials on it. I bought him several watches. Like, I pay attention, not because he's ever said to me, hey, this is what I like, this is what I want. But I have paid enough attention and I have listened to him enough to know the things that he likes and that he's interested in.
Okay, I mean, I'll somewhat give you that, somewhat.
Nietzsche
But
says
I'm just
guys
telling
don't
you.
pay attention to details.
I mean, we do most of the time, but most men is not gonna pick up like, okay, she says she likes flowers. I'm about to go out here and get these flowers. I mean, we just not. I mean,
But to me,
you
to
know,
me, to me, if you
if you
care
would have
about
said now,
me,
if you would have
if you
said,
care about me, then you will pay attention and you will pick up on that cue. Same thing, like I know that Brian likes gummy bears. So what do? Periodically, if I'm at the grocery store, I'll pick up some gummy bears. He came home from work the other day like, oh God, I can't believe, thank you so much. You know I love gummy bears. Just because, right? Because I know that I have heard him say, I've heard him express. He didn't say, hey, the next time you're at the store, can you give me some gummy bears? I just pay attention to the details. And the reason that I do is because I love him and care about him. And what's important to him is important to me. And I feel like it should be vice versa.
so then you're gonna. So I mean, but I'm sure you. So when he doesn't do that sometimes, or not, I won't even say use Brian. So I'm saying in the past and other relationships or whatever, if a man didn't pick up on those cues, do women assume that the man just doesn't care?
A lot of times we
And if
do.
it, and if so, is that really a fair statement to say, oh, he don't care because he didn't pick up on that cue?
Well, first of all, in the time that it was happening, it wasn't a cue, right? It was just we're having a kind of conversation. And I happened to mention, I love yellow roses, right? So it wasn't a
Mm,
cue, but it is something that if he had said the same thing to me, I would have put in my mental Rolodex. So because
okay.
I care and he's important to me, so I just feel like, why wasn't that something that you put in your mental Rolodex about me? Something that I specifically said to you. You didn't have to figure it out. You didn't have to hide behind no bushes to see it. Like, it's just like, it's the same. It's just like even regular friendships, right? There are certain things that, Mama B knows that I would like, that would excite me, that make me happy, that I've never had to say to her, girl, I like this. Next time you buy me something, can you get me this, right? She just has spent enough time around me and vice versa that we have an idea of what the other person likes and would appreciate. Pretty Driven says, not men. You have to tell them. I learned that from kind of y'all just being lazy,
Mm.
that you are saying you didn't pick up on the cue. I think it's a cop out, and I think it's you being lazy.
Well, I mean, I just, again, I guess this is one of those things we're just going to have to agree to disagree because I don't necessarily think it's a cop out. Like, we sometimes as men, we just don't know. And then it's like we're always in this state of I don't know, I don't want to use the word fear, but we're always in this state of not wanting to disappoint, you know what I'm saying, um, said person. So it's just like rather than get it wrong, we would rather just ask and just tell us so that way we know that what is it that what you're asking for? We're doing that thing and we're making that thing happen. Because then sometimes it just cuts out all the guesswork. It's not really a cop out. It's just like, maybe you've tried certain things before or whatever with that person, and you know, you try to do, let's say, one thing, and then you did that one thing, and the person was like, well, yeah, there's a perfect example. There's a perfect analogy, and it might not be, but it was a movie with Vince Vaughn in it, and I forgot the girl's name. I think her name is Jennifer Aniston. Maybe she was in Friends or something like that.
Yeah.
So there was a movie. It was a movie called The Breakup,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, bring me some lemons, right?
Mm-hmm.
She said, bring me some lemons. So he's like, okay. So he comes. No, she said 5 lemons or something like that. So he came in, he brought, let's say, 2 lemons. And she got mad because he brought 2 as opposed to 5. She was like, I said 5. He said, okay, well, I still got you lemons. Like, I don't get it. Like, I know it wasn't 5, but I still stopped. I still got you lemons. And then she was just like, well, I want you to want to have bought me lemons. He was like, why the hell would I have want to bring you lemons? You said you wanted lemons, so I bought you the goddamn lemons. Okay, it wasn't 5, but you still got some goddamn lemons. So it's the same
No,
situation
see,
where
I disagree.
sometimes
I disagree. I think that is not
we
this.
want to just tell me,
But she did tell
and
him. The thing
okay,
is that the example
right,
that you gave, she told him 5
but hold on,
lemons. So why did he
I'm
choose
talking
to
about
only bring 2? Either he wasn't listening and paying attention, or didn't care to hear what she had to say.
no, because the store, according to the movie, the store didn't have more lemons than that. So he got the lemons, what was available to him at the store, and he got those lemons. Period. So either way, he got lemons.
Now, see,
Okay?
what
Shit.
I know about Brian is that if that had happened to him, he would have texted me or called me and said, hey, they only have 2 lemons. I know you said you wanted 5. Is that enough, or can I just get the 2? Like, he would have got more clarification, because if I say 5 lemons, that's real specific. So he knows that if I'm that specific, that it's for a reason. Apparently, Vince Vaughn didn't know his woman well enough to know that if she said 5 lemons, she said it for a reason. And maybe now I need to get back to her and say, hey, they didn't have 5. But to women, that just comes across as you didn't care. You didn't pay attention. You did what you wanted to do, and I'm just supposed to be happy with the fact that you got me a lemon at all. Like, why am I supposed to just settle for less just because?
You got the lemon, okay? You got the lemon.
But I can't do anything with these 2 lemons, because what I needed the lemons for, it recalls for 5 of them. So now I'm just still in a position where I still can't do anything I need.
Use lemon juice. How about that?
Nitra says, it can be assumed that the man is not paying attention to what their girl is really interested in. Sneezy says, for people who are really into you, most acts of love are appreciated. And I agree with that. So like I said before, if I see that Brian tried, like if Brian stopped at the store and got me lemons just because he knows I like to keep lemons in the refrigerator, of course I'm not going to be like, I need 5 lemons. Why would you only bring 2? I'm going to say, wow, I really appreciate that. You look at you paying attention. You know I like lemons. And that's going to be it. Because it's really just about the fact that you pay enough attention, you care enough to bring me something, even if, like I said, it's as small as a candy bar. Like, I just think that men underestimate the importance of things like that for women.
I mean, maybe we do. Maybe we do. But, maybe we do. I don't know.
Nitra says,
maybe,
bottom line is, I can appreciate true effort. I can't deal with lackluster half-assness in a relationship. Right. And it literally comes across as lackluster half-assness. So you can say, I did something. No. I don't want you to just say you did something, right? Like, so Valentine's Day is coming. I don't want you, if you don't really have a heart to buy me something for Valentine's Day, don't go buy me no bullshit ass candy that I don't even like. If you're going to buy me candy, at least buy the candy that I like. I don't want that assorted box of of, you know, mystery candies that you got to bite into to see. You know, I don't even like that. So if you're going to buy me a box of candy, go ahead and buy them turtles that I like.
That is just such ungratefulness.
No, it
Just
isn't, because guess what I wouldn't do? I wouldn't buy you
ungrateful.
some shit just for the sake of buying it. When I buy you something, I want
Okay,
to buy you something that
well,
I think you'll like and appreciate, not just
listen.
because I bought candy.
Just because you would do something doesn't mean the other person is necessarily going to feel the same way you do. Because you women, like I said, sometimes women will confuse us men. So, for instance, if a man says, okay, if a man, let's say birthday, anniversary, whatever it is, let's say a man forgets your birthday and says, well, I'm sorry, I didn't get you anything because I didn't know what you liked. I didn't know what to get you. And then you say, well, you could have got me anything because it's the thought that counts, right? So, okay, mental note, it's the thought that counts. So come Valentine's Day, you know what? It's the thought that counts. I'm going to go ahead and get you this assorted box with the heart. We all know what it looks like, right? They got the, you know, the mystery candy in
Yeah.
it. You know what I'm saying? And here you go, babe. Happy Valentine's Day, dude. Right?
But is that really thought? That's not thought. That's not
It is
thought.
thought.
That's not thought.
I
That's,
thought
you know what
enough.
that is?
Listen,
That's obligation.
that's thought.
That's not thought. That's
No, it's not. It's
obligation.
thought.
Because you feel
It's
like
thought.
it's obligation. Because you feel like we're in a relationship. She's gonna be mad as fuck if I don't buy her anything at all for Valentine's Day. Let me pick up these chocolates at the Walmart on my way home. That's
Listen,
not thought.
it's thought. You want me to tell you? I'm gonna run it down to you. I thought enough to get in my car. I thought enough to turn my car on. I thought enough to point my car in the direction of the store. I thought enough to get out of that car, walk into the store, go to the counter or wherever the candy was. I thought enough to reach into my pocket, pull my thoughtful money out, pay for this thoughtful ass candy, and bring it to your unthoughtful, ungrateful ass. How
No,
about that?
what you
Thought.
thought, was shit. I forgot to get her something for Valentine's Day, and
Thought.
I think if I go home without any fucking thing, that I'm gonna be arguing and fighting all damn night, and I'm gonna have to hear her fucking mouth. So let me go to this Walmart so I can say I got something. That's what you thought. What you thought was, I don't want to have to deal.
Hey, but I got you something.
No,
Deal with.
no, it's a
But
no.
I got you something.
It's a no.
Oh, I got you something.
It's a
Oh,
no.
I got you something.
It's a no.
What you're not, but what, you know, you might not like it, but what you won't do is Instagram somebody, Facebook somebody, text somebody, oh, he didn't get me nothing. You got some candy, assorted kind, bam,
No,
put it in your mouth.
Instead, what we're gonna do is we're gonna Instagram, Facebook, somebody, call our girlfriend and be like, "Girl, this nigga came in here with this damn mystery candy, knowing goddamn well that I don't eat this candy. He forgot to get me something, so he stopped at the store on the way home." We're still not gonna be like, "Oh God, it was the thought." We're not.
Thought is a thought that counts. I mean, and it's like, really though, like, are you
Right.
women
Sneezy
just
says,
so?
just get my nails and toes done. Because here's what you know. What you know for sure is that she gets her nails and her toes done. What you know for sure is that she goes to the hair store. So when you can't think of nothing, baby, here's $100 so you can go to the hair store and get whatever else you need. Put it in the card. Bam. When you can't think of nothing, baby, here's a gift certificate or a gift card so you can go get your nails done next time on me. Don't. It's so many things that you can easily do.
You know what? But here's the thing. But hold on. But then I looked up in the comments. Somebody said, get a gift card or give money. I've had situations where you'll get a gift card, you'll give money, and it'll be the same shit. Oh, you didn't put no thought into this. You just got me a gift card. You didn't put no thought in this. You just gave me money. That was just an easy way out. That was just a cop out. So it's like you damned if you do, damned if you don't.
When you gave the gift card,
eat these chocolates.
Question: when you gave the gift card or you gave the money, did you buy a greeting card to go with it, or did you just come home and hand them $100 or whatever?
Listen, eat these chocolates.
No, I'm not. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. And you can't just come in and just, you gotta still put a little effort in, so you can at least buy me a card to put the gift card or the cash in if it's for a special occasion. Now,
time out.
If it's just a just because, baby, I love you, then by all means, give me the gift card or the cash and I'm going to be good. But if it's supposed to be for a gift, you need to at least buy a greeting card. So again, it seems like you put some thought into that.
Hold on. So wait a minute. So you mean to tell me not only You don't want, so you don't want the chocolates. Now, if I give you a gift card and some money, I gotta buy you a card too.
Is that just so
What?
much to ask?
You kidding? Who's doing all of this? That's what I want to know out there. Ain't no fellas in here talking. Like, fellas, are you out there doing all this stuff for these women? Like, are you out here doing that?
Yes, they are.
What?
Brian does it.
Really?
He does. Now, he
Okay.
did not do it when we first got together, and I never said anything to him about it. But what I choose to do is show you through my actions. So one year for his birthday, I gave him a card every hour the whole day.
Okay. That's a lot of
It
cards.
was, and I
So you gave
and I think that he
so
gathered
you
from
gave him
that
20
she liked cards.
so you gave him 24 cards. Because it's
Well,
24
he
hours a
was
week.
at work, so I said I gave him 9 cards.
Wow. Pretty impressive.
I did.
Pretty,
And I left him
pretty
and I
impressive.
left him in different places. So he found one on his pillow. He found one in the bathroom. He found one in his music room. I didn't just walk up to him and be like, here's an hour, get your card. It still was, let me put a little thought into where I'm going to leave this card.
Oh, okay. I mean, listen, 9 cards. That's wow. Whoa. That's deep. That's special and that's deep. It's real deep.
And
Real,
so, right, so all I'm
I
saying
get it.
is if you have someone in your life that's putting that much thought and effort into making you happy on your special days, then you can at least try to do something
Right.
meaningful
Yeah.
for them in return.
So how much is too much and how little is too little? You know what I mean? Like how much is too much?
I don't
Like
know if there's
is there
I don't know if there's a too much.
is there a cap?
I don't know.
Is
No, I
there
don't
a
think there's a cap. I don't know if there's too much. Like if it's in your means to do it, then by all means do it. So I don't like if you have, so I don't think there's a cap, right? Um,
Mhm.
and it's even as far as the minimum, because here's the thing. There have been, a couple times or two where Brian didn't have the money or whatever at that moment to buy me something, right? And so he just didn't buy anything, right? And I said to him afterwards, I'm like, Brian, you at the very least could have gotten me a card. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get that you didn't have the money to go buy whatever, but you could have, I'm sure you could have at least, and I said, why didn't you at least get me a card? And he was like, you're right. I don't know. What?
I get it. I just, I get it. I get it. So somebody said what? There's no gift. Like there's no
So
such thing as too much.
there isn't a such thing as too much. Again, as long as it's within your means to do, right? It's no such thing to women. There's no such thing as too much. So as long as it's within your means to do, there's no such thing as too much. Now, of course, if you're struggling to pay your bills, I'm probably going to be like, that was too much for you to buy me this $500, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Because I know that you're having to struggle with something else. In those instances, I may say to you, babe, this is too much. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to be appreciative of it, but I'm going to still say, babe, you didn't have to do this. This was too much. I know you got this, and this going on. You know what I mean? So I'm never asking you to break the bank, go broke, because I need these large, big, extravagant gifts. For me personally, it's
I like.
always more about the thought, right? So even if you just
Mhm.
bought me, let's say, a keychain, if there's some thought and some story behind why you gave me that particular keychain, it's going to mean a lot to me.
I get it.
For
I get.
women,
Trust me. I get it.
for women, most women. Now, I'm not talking about some. I'm gonna just be honest. There are some women out there that it's more about money. It's more monetary. You know what I mean? But for most mature women, it's never as much about how much you spent on the gift as much as it is how much thought you put into it and how important it was to them, right? So that's why there are some women you could just, buy them a special picture frame with a picture of the two of you and they crying like, I can't believe he did this. You know what I'm saying? Because it just feels like you put so much thought and effort into that. You knew that was important to me and you put thought and effort into it. Now, of course, there are some women out there where, to me, those women who you gave the cash or whatever to, they really just seem ungrateful to me, right? Because although I would have liked you to put it into a greeting card, I would never have said out my mouth, you hadn't even put no thought into this gift. Thank you, baby. I really appreciate that. I'm going to get my nails done. Like, that's what most women who appreciate you and love you would respond with. Honestly, if you get that type of response, it's like I was watching a show and this girl wanted the dude she was dating to buy her a $30,000 engagement ring. His mom told him, you don't need to spend that type of money on no fucking engagement ring. And so his mom convinced him, get her a promise ring. And and he didn't spend that much on the ring or whatever. So he planned this whole romantic picnic and he set the stage. He had the wine glasses and he had the whole picnic, tablecloth and everything like that, cheese and everything like that. And he put the little promise ring, he put it like in her strawberry or something. And she bit the strawberry, whatever. She found the ring. And her response was, what the fuck is this? I can't believe you gave me this shit. Like, she threw it. And his mom was like, she failed the test. That's not a chick you should ever marry. And I completely agree. Now, maybe would I have liked a bigger diamond? Of course. But if I feel like you love me and you care about me and this was an act of you trying to show something to me, I'm never going to turn my nose up and be like, why you buy me this little diamond? Ever.
No, I mean, listen, I get it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like to sometimes play devil's advocate with some of these conversations or whatever. But I mean, I've been there. You know what I'm saying? I've gone out of my way on certain occasions for
Yeah,
people.
like when you
So
dressed up like Winnie the Pooh. You know what that was? That was thought.
listen, what you're not gonna do is bring up that episode. Don't do that. Like, don't do that.
I'm
Okay.
just saying.
I mean, I do though. I ain't gonna listen. I ain't gonna. Yeah, I did. I dressed up like Winnie the Pooh. I did. I did. I've done. I have done some things. I've done some things on for Valentine's Day
That were thoughtful.
that
And
was
Nitra said that was love, right? Because when you really
that
care
was
about somebody and you love them, it's nothing. I'm sure she never told you, I really would like for you to dress up as Winnie the Pooh. But you loved her and you knew that she liked Winnie the Pooh. So you put thought into that to say, you know what, this is what I'm going to do for my baby because I know she likes Winnie. That was thought and that was effort.
I mean, yeah. It was. It was. It was a man. Listen, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I've done some
Exactly.
pretty.
So don't be on the show pretending like you don't know the difference between I just did some shit because I felt like I had to do it, and I put some thought and effort into this because I really care about this person.
No, I mean, I'm not saying no. I'm not saying that I don't know the difference. But what I am saying is sometimes men just don't know. So sometimes it's easier, although it's not a cop out. I'm just trying to give you a male perspective to let you women to know that sometimes it's not about a cop out. It's really simply arming ourselves with the best information in order to please you to get what you want. Because sometimes some men, if you don't tell them, they just won't know, and they'll be walking around thinking they're doing things right.
And what we're
And then if you
saying as
don't tell
women
them,
is,
then it's like,
what we're saying as
yeah,
women
that's what I'm
is,
saying.
if you just listen to me and pay attention to the details, you will have gotten the answers to all your questions.
Okay. And we've already that's good in hindsight. But like we've already said and already stated in other things, everyone has a learning curve, no matter what it is, right? So my listening skills may be a little bit better than the next person's and vice versa or whatever. So let's just say, I don't know, let's say you get with a dude whose listening skills are subpar. So what do? Do you continue to deal with the fact that he has subpar listening skills? Or do you get a nigga a little boost, tell him what it is, now you know, right?
Okay,
Win-win for everybody,
so
right?
let's just say I give him the boost and
You
I tell him
cannot
what it
say,
is. When is he ever going to work on his subpar listening skills? Like, why is it cool for him to just always say I got subpar listening skills instead of him working on his listening skills?
I didn't say that he wouldn't work on it, but what I'm saying is if you tell him and give him a boost in the right direction and explain it to him, or to explain it to men the same way women are kind of explaining it now, then it's like, oh, so now, so for instance, so what I'm saying is, if I don't, okay, what I'm saying is this. Most men, I'm being honest, most men are not, if you say, wow, I like flowers, most men are like, oh, she likes flowers. Okay, but we're not registering, let me go ahead and get some flowers. So if you were to say, I like flowers, it would be nice to get flowers every now and again. Don't say no more. Now he'll be like, oh, got it. So maybe now the next time that he's out at the store, he sees some flowers, he'll be like, you know what, babe, I got it. You see what I'm saying? You might have to just do a little bit. I'm not saying gotta go all into it, but just a little bit. Say, you know what? You might, I wouldn't mind getting flowers every once in a while. Or you might say something, I can't, play this game like, I don't remember the last time somebody gave me flowers. And then he like, okay, I see what you put. Okay, now the next time you go to the store to get the milk, he gonna come home with some flowers. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta give a nigga a little extra boost because a nigga's receptive skills may not be where your receptive skills are. So sometimes you gotta give a nigga a little boost.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And here's the thing, I can agree with that. But what I'm saying is I'm not going to do that in the middle of a conversation where I'm telling you this is what my issue is. And then you say, well, what should I do? I'm not going to at that moment say, well, number one, you could buy me flowers. And number two, you can do that. Like, I'm not going to do that.
I mean, I get it.
Sneezy says you would fare better with some flowers, favorite ice, 2 spoons, and a fun time in the bedroom over a box of those nasty chocolates.
Listen, I've had a box of those chocolates. And they're not all nasty.
They're not all nasty, but you got to bite into them.
Some of them are delicious. Some of them are delicious. Okay?
If you get a box of chocolates of 25, like 10 of them were delicious. The rest of them
listen, the ones with the caramel in it, they're pretty damn tasty. Okay? It puts you in the mind of a Snickers. You know what I'm saying? And they got one that got the chocolate in it. It's like low key, like a Reese's peanut butter cup, but it's like low, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it don't have the same kick as a Reese's peanut butter cup, but I mean, you get my point. So all I'm saying to you is,
Pretty Driven makes a point where she says that you got to know your mate, whether they're materialistic or not. Because I mean, there are literally some people who are more materialistic than others, right? I think that usually, right? It's like I've heard guys say he could never bring her this, and this, you know what I mean? Because he knows that she's a little bit more materialistic than others. No, the Bible says know those who you labor among, right? You got to know those you're working with. Everybody's all like, good job, Paul, for your Winnie the Pooh costume. That was love, they said. Nitra says maybe
thank you.
Huh?
I said thank you. I mean, thank you. I appreciate that.
Do you feel like you've loved someone that deeply since then?
What?
Nitra says maybe he's unable to comprehend what he's hearing. Well, then that's a whole different issue. If you know that your man is hooked on phonics, then know those you labor among, right? Then in those instances, then he's not comprehending. I'm sure you knew that beforehand, or you found out pretty early on. You found that out. So you have to deal with your mate accordingly.
This is true.
Owen says, give me my flowers, no assorted chocolates. That's a no. Pretty Driven said the strawberry one. You like the strawberry ones?
Those are tasty too. Those are tasty. But I mean, I just think, sometimes I just think, it might not, you know what I'm saying? Again, I still believe that it's the thought that counts. If you
provided that you actually put in thought. And when you're telling me that you took your car to Walmart because you got that chocolate, that's not providing any thought. I know I got to get something because I can't go home empty-handed or whatever. But somebody did say, who was it? Nitra says, Valentine's Day is not a huge deal for me since I've gotten older. As long as we're spending time together, I'm good for the most part. It's 2 types of men, the ones that celebrate and the ones that don't. Valentine's Day, Pretty Driven says, is not that important to me. I need mine 365 days of a year. Jamie Marie says, a meaningful Hallmark card goes a long way, or a mahogany card, goes a long way. Now, Marche says, I don't need the card, right? So again, it really just goes back to just, you got to know who you're dealing with, right? You know, if your lady, and here's the thing, Brian doesn't care that much about cards, but because I was making a point to him, I was like, you know what? If I show him, if I do this for him, he will understand that this is what I like for me, right? So I know that Brian, after the first card, Brian was pretty underwhelmed. You know what I mean?
Your thing is
Each one of the
out of
cards.
control.
I'm definitely the kind of person that takes a long time to buy cards because I literally stand there and read it. I'm not giving nobody under any circumstances a card with anything that I disagree with or that is a lie. So, but I know that those cards don't mean as much to Brian as they may mean to me. But it's still, so it really just goes back to
So yeah, I mean, I get it. Like I will agree that, you do have to know your person. So just like that one incident, with the Winnie the Pooh, I knew that person liked Winnie the Pooh, so I kind of like went all out. There was a few times when, there was a few times when I'll do my thing.
right.
I'll do my
Now it
thing
could
on the
have been
romance.
another chick you was with if you had done the exact same thing, dressed in the character they liked and showed up. They might have been embarrassed, humiliated. I didn't like that. Like, you got to know who you're dealing with.
Yeah,
So,
this is true.
I guess the first thing is make sure that you know your person, right? Don't do no shit just because you think it's romantic, because again, everybody receives different shit differently. So let's talk about this because I'm getting a lot of comments about how important Valentine's Day is. First of all, I hate when I hear people say we do stuff for each other 365 days of the year, so Valentine's Day is no different. Listen, so do we. However, it's just like Christmas. That would be like saying we do stuff for each other. How come nobody says that about Christmas? We do stuff for each other
We
all
do.
year. Christmas is
We
just
do.
another day.
I don't like Christmas either.
But
So
but for
I
the
do
most
say that.
part, I don't see no post on Facebook that say we do stuff for each other all year. Christmas is just another day.
Yeah. You will. You see them. I see
I
them.
don't see them.
I
I don't
look at
see them. I always see them every year for Valentine's Day, but I never see them for Christmas. Right? So here's the thing. Yes, you do things for each other all year. Hopefully, if you're in a healthy relationship, you are doing shit for each other all year long. However, this one particular day is a day set aside to do something just a little bit above what you would normally do, right? Again, I don't need you to buy me a car for Valentine's Day. If you like, I'm good with it, but I don't need it. You know what I mean? And I don't even need you. When I said the whole thing about the box of chocolate, like I said, if you want to buy me a box of chocolate, just buy the fucking chocolate I like, right? I'm not saying that I don't want chocolate for Thanksgiving, for Valentine's Day. I'm saying buy the shit I like, right? Still put some thought into what you're buying. When I buy my kids Valentine's Day gifts, I still do to this day. Every year I buy my kids Valentine's gifts. I've still put thought into when I fill their stockings for Christmas, I put thought into what I'm putting in it, right? So it's just a day set aside that you're going to just do something a little bit special, right? And for some couples, particularly for how long y'all been together, let's be honest that sometimes in some couples, particularly if you've been together for a long time, yes, we do things, everyday things for each other all the time, but we don't necessarily do special things to show our love for a person all the time. So it's the one day that is set aside for us to say, hey, I want to be intentional about telling you and showing you that I love you. That's all it is. Then whether you like it or don't like it, that's your business.
Listen, I absolutely get it. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and act like I've never gone all out on and for Valentine's Day. So, I get it. I've been there. I think personally, I have done some pretty fucking remarkable things on said day.
Good for you.
So, yeah. So, I get it.
Now, and then the other thing is, I also hear men say Valentine's Day is for women in my opinion, I'm sorry that you've had that experience, sir. Like, that's what I want to say to all the men. I'm sorry you've had that experience, because anytime that I've been in a relationship for Valentine's Day, I go all out for him in the same way that he does for me. I have never made Valentine's Day about just me. So I'm sorry for the men that have had the experience that Valentine's Day is just for her. But we talked about it before. But even if that's what happens, then you can make her start celebrating Sweetest Day. Sweetest Day is supposed to be for men. I have done both in my house because, again, I don't have any problem, sharing a little special extra love for the person that I love. So I'm sorry that some of you men have had that experience, that the women didn't reciprocate the same way in showing you their love and appreciation for you. But I disagree with the fact that Valentine's Day is for the ladies. Like, it shouldn't be. It's for love. And that's why I give my kids gifts, because it's for people that I, have a very special love for. So I've always, my kids' whole life, given them Valentine's Day gifts because I love them. I have a special love for them. So it's a day for love. Let's see. We have a lot of comments. Pretty Driven said the only one that's a must is my birthday. Now, right, I feel the same way, Pretty Driven, but Brian is like, my birthday's another day, right? So I struggle with that, because for me, birthdays are a super big deal. They have always been that way. I've made them that way for my kids. I gave my daughter like a $4,000 10-year-old birthday party one time because she wanted a red carpet theme, and I had the means to do it. I wasn't struggling, had the money. So I rented out a whole venue. I had paparazzi. We did the red carpet. It was a whole thing. Birthdays are a big deal for me. So I struggle trying to scale down what I want to do for Brian, because I know that he doesn't like it on such a grand scale. But there have been times that I've had, this year I just like sent him lunch to his job for his birthday, because the year or two before that I came up there with all these balloons, and it was a whole big thing, and he didn't say he didn't like it, but I knew that like it was embarrassing. He didn't. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna scale back. So I get it. Birthdays are definitely a must. Nitra says, I love Christmas. I will ball out on gifts for my guy for Christmas. Not sure why. Maybe I'm more in a giving mood during that time of the year. Pretty Driven says, I stopped really celebrating Christmas unless you're a child. Why? Pretty Driven, tell us why. You get a heart-shaped donut. Oh, Marche says you get a heart-shaped donut. That's so cute. Pretty Driven says, you grown, buy your own gift. Oh, goodness, Pretty Driven.
Yeah, man. I don't. Yeah. I'm more of everyone know. If you know me, if you really know me, you people already know my favorite holiday of the year is. What is it? You already know. That's the only holiday that I
But
like.
you don't get gifts for that holiday.
Excuse me?
You don't get gifts for that holiday.
I do get a gift. Oh, yes.
What's the gift?
I get a gift. I get the biggest. Are you kidding me? The biggest gift of all. The gift of scaring the living out of people. Are you kidding me?
That's not a gift. That is not a gift.
Listen, there's no holiday on this earth, and I do mean on this earth or any other earth out there, better than Halloween. There's no other greater gift.
So you buy your lady a Halloween gift?
No, I scare the shit out of people. Like, Halloween is like the biggest event. It's like an event for me. You know how people say birthday is an event? Like the month of October, Halloween is a whole, man, listen, I did
I'm gonna need you to take that emotional intelligence quiz, because I feel like something's a little off with that.
Halloween is the greatest thing. It's the greatest holiday ever. There's no holiday better than Halloween. Like, you get to dress up like a whatever you want, you know what I mean? And just, oh my God.
And I didn't realize till this year, like, how many costumes I actually have, like, already at home, right?
Yeah. Halloween is the shit for me. Yeah.
Sneezy says, man, I had a man buy me tires for Valentine's Day, and it was a great gift. Pretty Driven says, I don't like feeling pressured to do anything for anyone. So that's why she doesn't really care for Christmas, I guess. Nitra says, Oh, she says, I buy Valentine's gifts for my mom, my boyfriend's mom, and my nieces. Sneezy says, I give my son gifts on Valentine's also. I like to hand make gifts for people I love so they're always special and one of a kind. Yeah, so again, you don't have to break the bank to buy gifts, but the fact that you put thought and effort into it, literally, I told y'all I've been cricketing, right? So for Christmas, like all my family called me and was like, hey, can you make me one of those glasses? Well, I got to show y'all my new glasses because I just figured out how to put glitter on the glasses and, it's a whole thing right now. But anyway, so you don't have to break the bank, but still, like it's just a little, here's an appreciation. I thought of you. I care about you. I love you. That's all I'm saying. Marche says that she agrees with you, Paul. Halloween is her shit.
I love Halloween. I did a whole haunted house.
But
It was like a
why
whole
do you love
production.
Halloween?
I think probably like when I was growing up and when I was younger, um, it was like probably the one holiday of the year that my mother could afford. Because Christmas, I told y'all, like Christmas, you think it's a joke. Like, I'm
Don't
not joking. Okay.
don't let us relive that.
Like I'm not joking. Like people think when I say things sometimes, people sometimes wonder like how much of the show is it real or is it just I'm just talking shit? But I'm being dead ass. When I talk about things from my past and my life, it's real shit. Like my mom, she did make a whole bunch of money at the time when I was younger. So it was like I would come out to the tree. I'm telling you, it would be mad gifts under the tree. And I get it because she didn't want me to feel like
You didn't have a
I
lot to
didn't
open.
have.
Yeah.
That I didn't have a lot to open. But then as I'm opening these gifts, I'm like, all these gifts are one and the same. Okay. I'm telling you, I'm opening a gift. I'm opening a box. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This is just
A
the
shoelace.
left shoe. This is just the left shoe. Hold on, wait. It's like playing Christmas memory. You know what I'm saying? How you gotta match the box,
Yeah.
match the gifts and shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh wait, hold on, wait.
I will give your
So the
mom
good
points
thing
for being
about it was
creative. Because that was some creative
right.
shit.
So the good part about it is if I open a box and had a shoe, I'm like,
You knew
I
you got
got a
some
set of shoes
shoes.
in this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Uh-huh. So I'm like, I'm opening. Oh, wait. Oh, you know what? I got shoelaces. Here's one. And I know somewhere in this motherfucker is another shoelace for these shoes. Okay. Shit, like, so it was like that sometimes with just certain things. So she couldn't really
Did she
afford
make your
Christmas.
costumes though, or she bought them?
No, I mean, costumes are relatively cheap. So what I'm saying is like, so on Halloween, if you go out, you're just getting that one Halloween costume as opposed to going to the store and try
No,
to
but
load
the
up a
reason,
whole
I
bunch
guess
of
I
them.
don't know how much they cost back then. The reason I asked that is because like costumes are expensive as fuck now. Like I used to take my kids to like Party City or whatever to get their costumes, and I didn't spend $100 and some, right? Just buying costumes. So that's why I wondered, like, did she make them? But you're saying they were much cheaper back then.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know how much they were, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? I got at least, what I'm saying on Halloween, I always got the whole costume. You know what I'm saying? On
At one
Christmas,
time.
it was almost at one time. I knew when she came in, baby, here's your Halloween costume. Okay, this is what we doing. And then it's one of the one times in life when you can actually just beg complete strangers for food and they'll just give it to you. Candy. I mean, they'll just give it to
Yeah,
you. You
because
know what I'm
every
saying?
other time your mama said, don't go in here begging for nothing. Don't say you hungry.
Exactly. But Halloween, trick or treat, smell my feet, give me that candy so I can eat, okay? And I want it all. Stop playing with me. But then as I got older and I really couldn't do the trick or treat thing, I got into the whole scaring. I was like, so like I said, like not last year, but the year before last, I did a whole haunted house. It was a whole production. And it was terrifying. I promise you. If anybody who went to my haunted house, you know what it was. And it was like,
I would
oh my
have
God.
never gone to
Oh,
that. I do not like
oh
horror
my God.
movies.
Listen, I promise you, it was probably one of the scariest haunted houses in the area for what I was able to
Listen,
do. It
every
was
October,
magical.
either your boy needs to come where you are or you need to come here, because I know that poor Brian is miserable because I don't want to see no horror movies. I'm not doing nothing scary. Like I don't want none of that smoke, right? And I know that he is miserable because he can't really enjoy it the way he likes to. So I think you guys should make a pact that like every October, either you gonna come to him or he gonna come to you, or y'all gonna take turns so y'all can fully enjoy your holiday together.
Yeah, I love Halloween. I can't even tell you this. It's great. You know what I'm saying? But
So
yeah.
Nitra says your mom did the best she could with what she had for Christmas, and she has to get points for creativity. Now that you're grown, I know when you were
Absolutely.
younger, you didn't think that shit was creative, but now that you're grown,
No, I'm saying no. What I'm saying is, when I was younger, I didn't really appreciate
yeah,
it. But then as I got older, I understood like she did. You know, she did the best she could. So what I'm saying, so I'm just saying that so Christmas
yeah,
really wasn't really a holiday that I look forward to. And then I started thinking, well, if she's doing all of this just to give me a Christmas, maybe I shouldn't make Christmas that much of a big deal, so she wouldn't have to feel pressure
yeah.
into doing this whole Christmas thing. So I'm like, so it's nothing really I really look
And it
forward
was,
to. You know what
and
I'm saying?
again,
And
it
then
was the thought of I don't want him to just open one gift on Christmas.
right.
So yeah, now that you're older, in hindsight, you can look back and see what she tried to do. But yeah, I get it. Pretty Driven says my mom didn't celebrate Halloween. She brought our candy, but when I had my daughter, I let her celebrate and made up the time lost as a child. Listen, Marche says you wear it one time. Listen, my kids, when we used to buy them Halloween costumes, they wore them all year long, right? I think that's why I felt okay leaving Party City spending that kind of money, because my kids were just the type of kids that just put their costumes on all the time for whatever reason, just to play in the house or whatever. So I was okay with it. Marche,
Right.
Wild Ebony, shit in October, Friday night fright at my house. No, I'm not coming. I'm not coming. I don't think you should put that type of stuff in your spirit. You know what I mean? So I don't watch horror movies. We have an agreement, Brian and I, that I will watch 2 horror movies a year. So you be real selective with the 2 movies that you think I'm going to watch with you, because when my 2 are up, I'm not watching another one. Like I don't like it. I don't like being scared like that. I don't like that fear in my spirit. You know what I mean? And it's all in my psyche. You know what I mean? And I don't like it. I don't like it. So I don't like anything horror. I'm not going to no haunted houses. I'm not watching no horror movies.
Horror movies are great.
Sneezy, you don't watch them either.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't want any of that. Now, I raised my kids. I've been a Christian really all of my kids' lives. So I did allow my kids. I was never one of those like totally right-wing Christians that were like, we don't celebrate Halloween. Halloween is the devil's holiday. I believe personally that everything is what you make it, right? So to me, Halloween doesn't have to be devilish and demonic if you don't make it that way. So when my kids were growing up, they always got costumes. They just couldn't choose things that I felt like were, devilish or demonic. So they could never be like the devil. They could never be witches. They could never be anything that was like, unless it was like a good witch.
I was the whole devil like two Halloweens ago. The whole devil. I sure was. Had wings and everything. Yeah. Oh yeah. Listen.
Poltergeist scared the mess out of my ass as a kid. That was the end for me. Listen, so the scary movie for me, I think that turned me was Carrie, right? And it wasn't, I made it all the way through Carrie. It was the end part when that hand rushed up out that grave. I felt like it scared the life out of me.
I mean, if you're talking about horror movies, Carrie is definitely a cult classic. Now, the thing that I didn't like about Carrie is when they start trying to do all these remakes and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I'm talking
You
about the
know,
original
I think
one. When that hand
leave it
rushed up out
alone.
that grave, I almost shit myself. I was like, so Carrie and Children of the Corn were when I decided
Um,
I'm finished with horror movies.
yeah, Children of the Corn back in the day was
Listen,
definitely a classic. Definitely a classic. But
that Children
anyway,
of the
listen,
Corn and Carrie made me decide you will no longer be able to watch horror movies. You're done with that part of your life.
those were good ones.
For some reason, Poltergeist didn't scare me as much as those 2 movies did. But Nitra says, I don't really watch scary movies either, but I'll go to a haunted house and be scared as hell. Now, I've gone like to the haunted trail before. I just feel like every time I do something like that, I'm like pushing my death date closer and closer because I literally feel like I'm about to die here. So I can't do it. Um, they're all that they're all going to laugh at you too much. No remakes on horror classics. I'm telling you, Children of the Corn. I was just like, yeah, I can't. It's too much. It's too much. My heart can't take it. And the older I get, the more I'm like, I could literally just die trying to listen. Even stuff that's like suspense. Brian laughs at me so bad because I jump at everything. I don't know where I got these bad nerves from, but it does not take much for me to be jumped like I just. So my kids could always get cut. Now my kids have never actually been door to door trick or treating, because I had kids during a time where like you could just take them to the mall, and they can go from each store and get the trick or treat in the store, and then in the middle of the mall they would have all these Halloween activities. So that's what I did for my kids their whole lives. They may have gone door to door trick or treating when they became teenagers. I don't know, because that's when I started allowing them. Yeah, you can go to this Halloween party or whatever, but I never physically took my kids trick or treating door to door. But they always had costumes, and I really hate even now. I really hate when I hear Christian people say Halloween is the devil's holiday. Everything is what you make it, because let's be honest. When you're even as a Christian, if you're talking about Christmas, if you put up any snowmen, any Rudolphs, anything other than Jesus Christ, then you have now changed the holiday from what it's supposed to be. So let's just stop this. And let's just let kids be kids. Yes, the kids can believe in the tooth fairy. Yes, the kids can believe in certain things until they get of age. I just hate it so much. And I think that's like what gives a lot of Christians a bad name. You know what I mean? Because they're so far to the right that it just drives me crazy. I'm like, get the hell out of here. So even this year, my son's 20, his girlfriend's 19, my daughter, they all, I took them out. We did Halloween shopping. They all dressed up for Halloween. We took pictures. They went to a little Halloween party. I think, and if I have something to do on Halloween, I'll go. I really hate dressing up in Halloween costumes as an adult, though, because those
Why?
costumes are expensive as fuck.
Well, they are, but that's where you get the most fun out of it. What? What? What do you mean?
I don't want to
Anyway,
pay
look.
$70 for a costume I'm going to wear one time.
Well, then wear the costume more than one time. I mean, you can role play with it. You can, you can do some things with that costume. Like, don't act like it's just for Halloween. You know what I'm saying? Well, listen, we are way off topic. Let's
Yeah.
get back on topic. Let's get back to
Okay. I don't know how we got on that topic, but okay. So we were supposed to talk about trust.
Trust.
How do you think, what is the best way to deal with your trust issues, do you think? Is it a thing that someone else has to help you with, or is it a thing that only you can work out within yourself, you think?
Yeah, you gotta. I think it's a little. I don't know. I guess it's a little bit of both, because I guess there are some things that you have to work out within yourself, but then the person that you're trying to give your trust to.
But how, when they don't know your triggers?
Right. Well, I'm saying, like, you have. I mean, you have to put. I mean, if you get comfortable enough to the point where you're able to even share with them that you have trust issues, then
Is that something you share? Do you tell people, hey, at some point, do you tell people I have trust issues?
I think, honestly, I think my trust issues are pretty apparent very early on, with the lack of, shall I say, the lack of, I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but I can be a little bit standoffish and a little reclusive. I don't know if you noticed that about me.
Well, I've noticed it, but you know that who I am, I always push you, right? So there have been times that you've even said, I'm okay, and I will come back and say, but how are you really, right? Because I know that I have to push you to tell me what you're really feeling, because I know the person that you are.
right. But then, like I said, some like again, I don't know. You have to, for me, I'm reclusive when it comes to certain things. So I think very early on, people kind of figure that they might not know exactly what it is, but they're like, I can tell he has trust issues. Or people ask me, do you have trust issues? Because I feel like you don't trust me. Nope, I sure don't. I don't even, not even a little bit. But why? But I haven't done anything. Well, you haven't, but you will. You
But let's
fucking
talk
will.
about that for a second.
You fucking
How,
will.
first of all, do you think that's fair? Right? Because, like the person said, I haven't done anything that has shown you that you should have trust issues with me. Now, what I decided. Now, I'm not going to say I don't have any trust issues, right? I probably do, but they're not as deep as a lot of people would say they have trust issues, because I'm very much the type of person that gives everybody the benefit of the doubt. So I'm very much the type of person that I will trust you to a point until you give me a reason not to trust you. And when I say to a point, that means that, like, of course, if we just started talking or we just met, I'm not going to just tell you anything and everything. But I'm not also going to distrust what you say to me because I have trust issues, right? I'm going to believe what you say to me until you give me a reason not to. So when do you just, so is it fair to the person who's saying, I haven't even done or said anything that would cause you to distrust me? Why are you having trust issues with me? Is that fair to that person? And how long would you say, just for you personally, how long would you say, how much do they have to prove? Is there like a barometer that you have within yourself? Like, when does it come to a point where you start thinking, okay, I can give a little trust here?
Whoa, this is heavy stuff. This is heavy duty stuff. It's like a double heavy duty glad bag. Okay, so no, it's probably I can honestly say that no, it's probably not fair. Probably, but then again, life isn't fair,
But
right?
do
I mean,
you
that's what
think
they
that
tell
you
us.
have missed out on some good
Life ain't
people?
fair.
Do you think that, like, when you look back and think a little bit, do you feel like you've missed out on some good people or pushed some good people away or hindered some relationships that could have gone a lot further because of your trust issues?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not. I don't doubt that. Not one shadow of a doubt.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But when you've had the life that I've had, when you've gone through the things that I've gone through, it's like, okay, I could have pushed some good people away. I understand that. I take responsibility of it for it. But at the same time, it's like, at what point or how much at risk should I put my own feelings just to say, oh, I gave somebody a chance to prove that they wouldn't hurt me. I'm good. So sometimes I'll pass on that and be like, okay, and I'll live with it sometimes.
So Jamie says, no, Nitra says, I think only I can work out my trust issues, but if my partner is showing me that he can be trusted, that helps. Jamie says it's hard to go through life not trusting anyone. It really is. It really, do you know? And I think even that then makes you become like paranoid and you start creating shit because you just don't trust any fucking body. Like, that has to be a hard life, and it has to be a lonely life, right? And so at some point, do you say to yourself, I don't want to feel this level of loneliness and aloneness anymore. I have to trust somebody. Have you come to that place ever?
Um, there have been times when I'm like, you know what, I will try to trust somebody, but then, to be for me, okay, but for me to be that vulnerable to people and for people, that's fucking, that's one of those things that's hard for me to do. Like, I don't, like, so it's hard. It's just, for me it's hard. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's just hard. It's been hard. It's a hard road, man. It's a hard road. It's like going uphill with slick tires on in a snowstorm. It's just
Are there
it's gonna be slick.
particular things that you have found that people can do or say that make you a little bit more prone to trust them, or it's just like case by case? You felt it in your spirit. Like, how have you?
I mean, usually, like it's one of those things where it's like, okay, it's like six and 6 3/4 in a hand in a
No,
bush.
no, it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other.
Right, got it, that thing. So because sometimes it's one of those things where if okay, I will say this. I'll say this, and this is probably one of those things where, oh my God, it's like opening fucking Pandora's box. But it's one of those fucking things where somehow you can kind of start to tell that I'm trusting you a little bit more about the amount of time that I will actually end up spending with you. Because if I'm starting to spend time with you, then now there's something, some kind of guard that's being let down that I'm saying, you know what, I fuck with you, so I can have you into my personal space. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, and that's how you can kind of tell. I might not say it, but if you look like, wait a minute, he's around me more, so well he maybe. So if I'm not around you that much, then the chance of me trusting you that much is probably about the level of amount of time that I spend with you. How about that?
And even here's the thing, even with you and I sometimes feel like we take 3 steps forward and then 5 steps back. How long have we known each other?
Long as fuck.
So if we've known each other long as fuck, and I still feel like we take 3 steps forward and 5 steps back, we've made baby steps forward, right? Not, I feel like at the place where we both are like, I completely trust you. Like, has there ever been a person that you felt like I completely trust you?
Has it been? Your screen was kind of.
Has there ever been a person that you felt like I completely trust you?
That I completely trust that person?
Yeah.
No. No. No.
That
Well, actually, I'll say, you know what? I'll say there was one person that I thought I completely trust, but come find out, man, oh man. But I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
Well, I read between the lines quite well, so.
One person I thought I did.
Pretty Driven says, only yourself. Trust no one but God. I have only faith. She also says, because I don't do well with disappointment, that feeling of betrayal is too much. But isn't that in some ways have malice intent towards us, right? Like, no one is God, right? So there will be times that even the people you trust may hurt you or may do something that you feel betrayed your trust. And basically you feel that way because of your past experiences and your past hurts and your past traumas, right? Because they could tell somebody else the exact same thing and they'd be like, no, that ain't no, you know what I mean? But for you, it is a betrayal and it is a trust issue because of your past and your traumas, right? But people are human, right? No one is God, no one is perfect. People are human. So is it them really betraying your trust or you setting unrealistic expectations for humans?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's just you go read. Yeah, we got some comments. Read some comments. I'm not
Nitra
sure.
says, honestly, if I'm serious about you and I need to be checking your phone, following you, then we shouldn't be together. I'm too old to be spending negative energy on things that don't make me happy. Now, Nitra, here's where I am. I'm in the exact same place that you are, right? So even my first husband, right, I knew in my heart of hearts that he was cheating on me. But I never spent time looking at his phone, checking his messages, questioning him, because what I believe is what's done in the dark will be brought to light, right? So I also believe that sometimes it's your own shit that's causing you to see some shit that may not even fucking be there, right? Your own trust issues, your own traumas, your own past experiences are causing you to see some shit that may not even be there. And I also wholeheartedly believe that when you go looking for some shit, you will find it. Right? So you checking his phone, you see that he done messaged some chick, and now you like, he's fucking cheating, he's fucking lying. It could have been just some chick from work or something, you know what I mean? And all he said, if you really paid attention, all he said in the message was, how you doing? Hope you have a good day. Yeah, you pretty, whatever. But it really, if you really read it, it didn't even say anything that was like, I'm trying to fuck you tonight, right? But in our minds, because of what we've been through, because of our traumas, because of our past issues, when we read the message, all we see is, I'm trying to fuck you tonight. So I'm with you, Nitra. I don't go looking for anything. I feel like if it's something I need to find out, I will. And that's just that, right? Like, I just don't, I feel like when you look for shit, you find it. And sometimes whatever you find, you create in your mind. Pretty Driven says hurt causes no trust. But don't we all get hurt all the fucking time, whether it's intentional or unintentional? And if somebody unintentionally hurts me, do I now decide I can't fucking trust this bitch? I disagree. Sneezy says, if you have no trust in a person, you will always be looking for the bad in a person just so that you can say, look, they hurt me. And I totally agree. If you haven't tried to deal with your trust issues, you're going to always be able to pick out and find some shit that you think might be an issue. Some shit that you like, I think they betrayed my trust. But if you really sat down and really analyzed it, they ain't done shit to you.
But what if you sit down and you analyze it and you be like, yeah, it's just what I thought.
But when you sit down and analyze it, are you analyzing it only from your frame of mind and from your frame of reference? Or are you able to analyze it from all points of view?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Man, listen, you can analyze the shit.
Here's my constructive criticism for you, Paul.
Give me some criticism.
You know I love you. You know I love you. I tell you all the time I love you in our personal conversation or whatever. We've had some deep talks, right? But what I have noticed about you, it is that it's very difficult for you to see outside of your own thoughts and perspective on things.
Nah.
Yeah.
I mean, listen. I will say that sometimes it may be hard for me, like you said, to look out the perspective of things, right? But some things are just facts. Some things are just what they are, and they're just irrefutable. And even if someone is on the other end of that, trying to make it seem as though it's not irrefutable, God damn it, it is what it is. And there's just no.
But I think even in those instances, you also, here's some more constructive criticism. One of your other issues is that you struggle with forgiving people and letting it go, right?
Now that is not irrefutable. That is the absolute fucking truth. That's not irrefutable. I absolutely agree. If you do something to me, yeah, I kind of remember that shit. And then when that shit comes up, hold on. And then when that shit comes up again, it's like it just becomes a touchy fucking subject. And then it's like, then you start thinking like, okay, here's the trust issue. So then you start thinking, well, if such and such could do that shit, and that shit is like, damn, what else would that motherfucker do in the future? So then it's like,
I've heard you say things
hold on. So then it's like, do you then still put that level of faith in that person that you did before when you know that this person has done some shit that you feel is like, nah, nigga, you knew. The fuck? Yeah.
So I think that here's the thing. The biggest trust issue that people have is that when someone doesn't meet their expectation, right? And let's be honest that 90% of folks never verbalize to the other person what their expectation is. It's just an internal expectation that I have of you. So
Mm-hmm.
internally, I have this expectation of my husband, my friend, my coworker, my church member. Internally, I have created this expectation. And when you don't meet that expectation, in my mind, I can't trust you.
Absolutely. That's how the shit works.
It's not how, but is that fair? Is that fair to hold somebody accountable for an internal expectation that they didn't even know existed?
Well, again, it depends on who the person is. And this is what we was talking about before. It just depends on who the person is. If it's just some regular around the way person, or as we like label, my best friend, my acquaintance, or somebody I know, it depends on who it is. So there are fucking levels to this shit. So again, my level of expectation for a person who I consider my best friend, let's say, or a brother, let's say, versus, I don't know, just a nigga who's an associate, like it's just a fucking difference. So like that expectation, like, oh nigga, like I, me and we wasn't that close anyway. So all right, nigga, I expected that from you. But when it's someone that's a little bit more dear to your heart, when it's a person that like that you should feel like, nah, like nigga, you supposed to know that shit, hands fucking down. Don't. So then when you hear anything other than, yeah, you right, bro, like you right, my nigga, I take that. So when you hear any other shit other than that, it's like, nah, bro, like,
So I
yeah,
have two things. So the
yeah.
first question I have is, if the person says, yeah, you're right, brother, my bad, I'm sorry, does that then absolve them of your trust issues or no?
Listen, at least at that point, just like every fucking thing else, right? At least at that point, that person is acknowledging, like, you know what? I did drop the ball on that, fam. You right, my bad. Now there's room to like perfect example. Like if someone goes to court, right, for murder, right? One of the things that they always say at the end of a court case, or one of the things that a judge will kind of like rule his determination on how he sentences, is what? Does this person show remorse? Perfect example. If you go to jail and one of the things determining the factors on whether you get out or you stay your ass in is like your parole hearing. Do you have remorse? Do you feel sorry for what you've done? Can you own up to your wrong? If you can't even own up to your wrong, how can we then move forward to build any kind of trust when you can't even own up to your wrong? If you own up to your wrong, it's like, you know what? Now we got something to work with. This is simple as shit.
Okay, and then the next question is it fair of you to hold them accountable to an unspoken expectation and to say that just because they didn't meet it, I can't fucking trust them? Like, is that fair to them or is that your issue?
Say that one more time.
Is it fair to say that this person didn't meet my unspoken expectation, so I got trust issues? Or is that a time where you got to look at yourself and say, you know what? I never shared with them my expectations, so I can't hold them accountable.
You again, if the person knows,
No, you know
don't you
why?
think the
Because
person?
you know what? You're contradicting yourself, right? Because
How?
you just said in our earlier conversation, you said that it is
Mm-hmm.
not fair for women to hold men to an expectation because we've said these things in conversation, because we've shared these things in passing. We can't hold you to that expectation because we never specifically told you this is what I want. However, you're saying
Hold
that
on.
because I see you as my brother or because you're my wife, whatever, you should have been paying attention and know my expectations. It can't be
No.
both.
Okay. No, listen. No, listen. You know what? That was good. That one was a real politician move right
No,
there. That
that one
was
was the
real good.
truth.
No, no. Because you're trying to take two different situations and trying to blend them into one. No. If you're sitting on the couch with your husband and you say, "Hey, G, I like flowers," again, I'm saying that a man is not gonna pick up, "Oh, let me run out to the store and get you some flowers." It don't register like that.
But
So
you're
rather than
also
sit there and
saying
try
that
to
if it's
hold
your
on, hold on,
brother,
hold on,
but if it's your
hold
brother,
on. Oh my God, hold
Okay,
on.
go
So what
ahead.
I'm saying is, so in a situation like that, that's a different. But if you listen, if you have been friends with somebody, okay,
Just like if you have been
for
married to somebody for years.
long enough fucking time, you're talking about opposite sex and same
So so
and
I'm
brothers.
clear. There
It's
are so
different.
just so I'm clear, you're
It's
saying
different.
there are different
Different.
rules. I'm asking, just so I'm clear,
Yes.
you're saying there are different
Yes.
rules when you're the same
Yes.
sex or if you're opposite sex.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And
Okay.
if different, it's totally different situation. Totally different. Like you cannot tell me. You can, I guess you could, you know what I'm saying? But I find it hard to believe if you yourself have a best friend, if you have someone that you call your sister or whatever it is, you cannot tell me that you're not going to hold your friend, your sister, whatever, to a higher standard than you would hold, like, I don't know, a girl who's just your associate. It's just
Yeah, but you
different.
and
So
that
there's
in
certain,
that
so
comparison,
there's some
in that
things,
comparison, it's the
so
same
there's certain,
thing.
it's not, man. It's
Yeah,
not. And if some,
and you're right. You're
how?
right. I would not hold somebody that I've known for 6 years to the same comparison that I've known for 6 months.
Your thing is messed up.
Different standard than you can somebody of the opposite sex, even though in both instances they were unspoken expectations. That's what you're saying, right?
Your thing was rolling wrong. I couldn't. You got to
I
start all
said
over.
you're saying that you can hold somebody of the same sex to different standards than you can somebody from the opposite sex, assuming you both know each other the same amount of time, let's say. You can hold each other to different expectations, even though your expectations were unspoken in both situations. That's what you're saying.
Okay. What I'm saying to you is this: if you have a best friend,
Mm-hmm.
right? There are certain things as friends that you're going to talk about, right? There's just things that, as a brother or a sister or whoever it is, there's certain things that you're going to talk to your best friend about. There's certain things you're going to talk to your sister about, correct?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So if you've talked about those things and you know that you've talked about those things, then said incident happens, said incident occurs, and then all of a sudden, that friend, that brother, that sister, that whatever, acts like they have amnesia and is like, oh, well, yeah, I didn't know. And I'm like, are you kidding me? How are you gonna tell me you didn't know when you know? Because we've had this conversation. And then if that said thing, I'm just saying, if that said thing has then happened at least not once, not twice, but let's just say more than one time, that person cannot then keep saying each and every time they didn't know. The first time you can say, okay, you didn't know, bro, cool. But if that said thing happens yet a second time, you can't then say, oh, I didn't know. How could you not know? Because if nothing else, you knew from the first time.
So what
Stop
happens?
playing, man. Like, oh, stop playing with me. And your little thing keeps spinning. Maybe this is getting too hot for TV.
Some of these comments. Nitra says, when people don't meet my expectations, I always tell myself that I knew they weren't shit. I got to do better in this area. I have high expectations often to this. Bill says, I'm over here just like, wow. But he is saying it depends on the person. And I'm not sure what yes it can refers to. Sneezy says, I try not to put my own expectations on the people because it leads to heartbreak and frustration. Pretty Driven said, "It's nothing wrong with having expectations." And I agree, Pretty Driven, but I think it is something wrong with having expectations that haven't been verbalized, right? It's unfair to have expectations of a person that you've never shared with the expectations with. It's just like when you have kids, right? If you have expectations that your kids will go to school, they will make a certain grade, A's and B's or whatever at school. They will do their chores. You can't by osmosis assume that they know those are your expectations. You verbalize, this is what I expect from you. Pretty Driven says, spoken or not, I have expectations for certain people over others. Nitra says, yes, someone has to be accountable in that situation. So the question that I have is, what happens when your expectations are not the same as the other person's? How do you decide who expectations are right and who's abusing whose trust?
Say that one more time.
What happens when your expectations are different?
Your thing is messed up.
And who's abusing whose trust?
I think I heard you. You said who do you say is right?
I said
about who's abusing whose trust?
what happens when your expectations differ from another person's expectations? How do you agree on whose expectations are right and who's abusing whose trust?
Again, if there's something that you've already talked about, right? And was like, okay, well, this is the situation. We'll use it like this. This is the situation. This is the code, and this is the code that we follow. When that person then goes against that code, it's like,
when you had the conversation that this is the code and this is the code we follow, did that person agree and say, I wholeheartedly agree with this code? Or did they just say, okay, I see where you're coming from?
Agreed. Like, yo, this is, man, listen, yeah, agreed. Man, listen, stop playing with me, yo.
So Nitra says, I think expectations for a kid is different than that of an adult. I disagree. All we're talking about now is expectations, and I use the kid as an example. But it's the same thing. If the kid, you can't then hold them accountable for something that you never shared with them. And I think it's the same thing for an adult. If the adult doesn't know this is your expectation, now some things are given, right? Some things are like, I don't expect you to lie to me. I don't think that's a thing that you have to say out loud, right? Because some things are just like a given. But there are some things, just like we discovered in our last conversation, Mama B says, for me, I don't care if you fuck with any nigga I ever fuck with, as long as it's not my baby daddy. But there's somebody else who says, no, you can't fuck with no nigga I ever fuck with because I fucked with him. Two different ideologies, two different expectations. And as the other friend, how are you supposed to know which expectation we following, right? We cannot assume that everybody.
Right, but we're not.
Now, I know that it seems to you,
right, and
it seems like common sense, right? But I'm saying that we cannot assume that to everybody that's what it is. And I'm not talking about your specific situation. I'm just saying in general, oftentimes we expect people to do what we would do. And that's not always the case.
Right. No, we expect people to do what we would do when you've had a conversation about what we would do in that situation. So, you expect that person to uphold what it is that you said that we was going to do as friends, as brothers, as sisters, as, besties, or whatever it is that you want to call yourself. You expected that person to adhere to what we've agreed to. And then if that person doesn't, then it's like, wow, that was a shocker.
So I'm looking at the comments, and Pretty Driven says, so Pretty Driven says, hold on. I think, she says, so I have to tell my best friend not to sleep with my man. Again, that is a different thing, because if he is your man, then that's like, why do you have to tell your friend don't sleep with my man? But you may have to tell your best friend that your expectation is don't. Because your friend may be thinking, well, they exes, they wasn't in love, they only dealt with each other 2 weeks, whatever the case may be. And your friend may be like, that ain't no big deal, I could fuck with him. Now, whether you agree with that thought process or mentality or not is your business. But what I'm saying is you cannot assume that, of course, you can assume if he is your current man that you don't have to tell your best friend not to fuck with my current man. But I'm talking about when it's over. You know what I'm saying? Like, we cannot assume that everybody has the same thought process and mentality, especially when, because they're your best friend, they heard you say, girl, I don't give a fuck about this nigga. I'm using him for his money. We just fucking so he can give me $200. So when y'all stop fucking, your friend might be like, well, she ain't even really fuck with him like that anyway. She just wanted his money. I genuinely like him. So we can see where this goes. Now, in your mind, you might be like, bitch, why the fuck would you fuck with a nigga that I just fuck with? But that was your expectation. And again, I know to y'all, it may sound like this is crazy, this is dumb. But everybody, one thing I have been teaching myself, because I literally have the same problem, right? Because I literally have the same problem. But I say over and over and over again to myself, Ebony, you cannot expect everybody to do what you would do. So Pretty Driven says, no, Pretty Driven says, I expect her to know better.
You just gotta.
Nitra says, I think that's what she's saying, that you don't think that should be a given. Correction, I think it should be a given. Sneezy says, depending on the person and situation, as adults, you have to agree to disagree and move on appropriately. That comes with friendship, Pretty Driven says. Sneezy says, if it is a person you care about, you either have to forgive the person and move on or not forgive and move on. At the end of the day, at some point, you either have to, because they have not met my expectations more than once, or you have to say, you know what, it is what it is at this point, and you handle the relationship accordingly. Build a Foundation says, when you know a person, these expectations come up in conversation in ways that may not be so direct, but your loved ones can infer what your expectations are if they care enough to listen. And according to Paul, that you think that you are expressing these things in conversation, and you feel as a female, as a woman, that if they care enough, they will pick it up. But according to Paul, they don't always pick it up. And we need to be more direct in saying what it is, because they may not pick it up. Pretty Driven says, but what? No, Pretty Driven, I didn't say at any point that your expectation was wrong, because we're all allowed to have whatever expectations we have. But what I am saying is that one thing that I've been trying to say to myself is, even with Brian, right? There have been times that I've been laying in the bed pissed, right? I'm fucking pissed. I'm done. I'm over it. And I've had to give myself the talk and say, are you over it because he didn't meet your expectation that you never told him was an expectation? Or are you over it because he blatantly did something to hurt you? And in 99% of those instances, I've had to say, this is an issue with you, because you had an expectation of what you wanted him to do, what you wanted him to say, how you wanted him to act. And when he didn't meet that expectation, you're butthurt. But you have to discuss this with you, because you never told him, this is what I expected you to do in this particular situation.
Right. I mean, I get that. But what I'm saying is, again, go ahead and read some more comments. But what I'm saying, when you've had that discussion, when you've had that talk, and it still happens, it's hard to then say or go with the I didn't know.
Maybe.
Excuse
to me, I guess I've already said in other shows that I'm super forgiving, right? Because to me, I hear you saying it's hard to overlook it, but I also realize, you know, we talk about how hard it is, right, to break a habit, or how hard it is to, again, this is your expectation and not theirs. So what you're basically asking them to do is to do something outside of what they believe or think, so that it suits your needs. Even if you share the expectation, you're asking
you know
them,
what?
even when you share the expectation, You're asking them to do something outside of what they would normally do just instinctively or out of their own necessary thoughts and belief system, right? So sometimes, I know it's cliche, but old habits die hard, right? So again, for me, I said this in our last show. For me, I have developed the thought process of, I sit down with myself and I say, do I feel like this person maliciously and intently did something to hurt me?
Yes.
Or is it that they did what they felt like was best for them at the time because they don't think the same way I do? He didn't text me.
And again, I said,
Oh, he just texted
like I end up saying that in certain situations, when that person knows, then it's
when that
hard
person
to
knows
think.
what you think.
When that person knows, it's hard to then think that it might not have been a little malicious when that
Why
person.
is it not just they don't agree with what I think about? Like you, why is it that when somebody doesn't agree with you, they're being malicious and intent? They just don't agree. It's like if you like strawberry snow cones, and I fucking like cherry snow cones. So when I go get snow cones, I get cherry. I'm not maliciously saying you can't fucking have a strawberry. It's just what I like.
But
So it just
listen,
didn't
but hold
even.
on, but we not, but right, okay, so but at the end of the day, we're not talking about goddamn snow cones. The fuck? We ain't talking about snow cones. We ain't talking about putting no syrup on no snow cone. We're not talking about something so trivial as a goddamn snow cone. We're talking about in this situation, we're talking about sister code, friend
And you
code,
know what? That's what we're
brother
going to
code.
talk about on our show on Thursday. We're going to talk about girl code and guy code. Because clearly,
We
no.
talking about it right now.
We're going to do a deep dive into it because we've had this conversation this show and last show. And on both shows, we found out that everybody doesn't agree to the same fucking code.
I mean, that is true. But what I'm saying is,
No, what you're saying is your code is universal code. And if everybody doesn't agree with it, guess what? It's
no,
not fucking
no,
universal.
no. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the code is quote unquote universal, like every man should follow
No,
it.
you're just
We're
saying that
talking
if you
about
my
we're
friend,
talking about a
you're
code.
just saying that if
We're
you my
talking about a
friend, you
code
gotta
between
follow my code.
we're talking about a code between a brother and a sister,
You're
like
just saying,
two brothers. Two
it
brothers.
sounds
We're
like
talking
you're
about a
just
code between
saying
two brothers.
that if you're my friend, you have to agree to my code. That's what it sounds like.
No, no. I'm saying we should agree to the code that we said best friends said brothers was
But
going to agree to.
whatever code it
That's what I'm saying.
was it a code that we agreed to, or was it a code that you said was your code and I should agree to it?
It was a code that we agreed to. Period. Period. But again, like we've also said, hey, how we interpret things is always motherfucking different.
Okay, let me
Period. I
read
mean,
some comments.
and ultimately, that's what it ended up going down to.
Build the Foundation says, why do you give exception to the exceptions to be known if it's your current man? You are saying that you don't have to express your expectations only if he is your current man? Let me read it again. Why do you give exception to the exceptions to be known if it's your current man? You're saying that you don't have to express your expectations only if he is your current man. She then built the foundation, said, he said, depending on the person, they may not care to pick it up. Or you may be over it because he may have chosen not to meet your expectations, but it doesn't mean he didn't know. Nitra says, if you're not happy with the person and they continue to disappoint you and not meet your expectations, that maybe it's time to let that friendship or relationship go. This will prevent future hurt. Pretty Driven says the answer to build the foundation is yes. She says the two of us don't agree. Got to be universal in my relationship. You should expect each other's codes you should respect each other's codes if you're friends. To me, I do agree that you should come to some type of agreement as friends.
So do
But
you
I
know the
don't
story?
think that we should decide, huh?
Do you know the story?
Which
Do you
story?
know the story? Do you know the
I
story?
do know, I do know, yes, I do
All
know the
three?
two stories. I do know the two stories prior to the one that I'm involved in. Yes.
You are you sure? Are you sure you know it?
I know the two
A
stories
hundred
prior to
percent.
the one that I'm involved in. I know the two
I
stories
ain't talking. I'm
prior to
not.
the one that I'm involved in. Based,
We
I know the one side of the two stories that I'm involved that are prior to me. Yes.
just one side. Okay.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Well. Then I guess we maybe one day we'll get into it. Then you know what I'm saying?
Well,
We'll get into it
well, you know me and you
because if
can get
I tell,
into it. You know me and you can get into it at
I
any
mean,
given moment.
because you know what I'm saying? Because we can. I mean, we got about 8 minutes, and then I can get into it. And don't you know what I'm saying? Like,
But
come
I
on,
don't
man,
think
stop
that we
playing with me.
should get into it without the other party being here to say what they
Well,
would
that's
say.
what. Well, that's what. Well, that's what I'm saying. So I guess I mean when said person comes, we want if you want to get into it, we get into it,
Well,
and
I
then
think that we
let
should.
let.
Well, see, this is why I said what I said Sunday. Are all hearts and minds clear? Because I fucking knew that they weren't. And it doesn't make
I
sense.
mean,
No, no,
it's
no,
clear.
no.
No, because it's clear. It's clear, but then somehow we always end up going down this fucking road.
Well, I
You know
don't
what I
know.
mean?
I don't know how we ended up down this road. But like I said to
Well, we ended
you,
up on it.
if all hearts and minds are not clear, then it needs to be discussed so that we don't keep because that's how life works, right? The shit that you keep sweeping under the rug, the shit that you keep saying I'm good, or you keep, pushing down and not dealing with will eventually come to the surface. And what
I
I'm
mean,
saying is,
sometimes.
I'm tired of dealing with the surface because I wasn't there for some of these events or whatever. But at the end of the day, for us to move forward in a positive direction, some shit has to be dealt with. And we can no longer continue to push it under the rug and push it down. And I'm
Oh, I
very much
mean,
the type of person that's like, let's get the shit out in the open. Let's deal with it.
all right. I mean, we can do that
But both
or
of
not.
y'all were like, no, we're good. We're good. Our hearts and
Yeah,
minds.
because
I said
because
a couple times, are all hearts and minds clear? And both of you are like, we're good. It's good. We're good.
well, because it was a situation where it's like a situation where, right, we can talk about it. But at the end of the day, like you try to state, if he feels one way about it and has a disposition about it and says, hey, okay, I didn't know, but I'm saying, yeah, you kind of did. It's almost like a mute motherfucking point. So
No,
then it's
but
like,
what
okay, at this
needs to
point,
happen is then you need to stay where you are. But you don't stay where you are. You said to me, yeah, you did. But when we spoke, you were like, well, if he doesn't, then he doesn't. No, you need to stick to your
yeah, because
word.
it's like
What did I
what?
say? Emotional intelligence is
Because it's
about being assertive in your conversation.
man, listen, but also, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not gonna keep hitting my head up against a fucking wall that's just not gonna fucking move. But it is what it is. You just be like, okay, it is what it is.
No,
You think that way, I think
but
that
it
way.
isn't what
But
it
at the
is.
end of the
But it
day,
isn't what it is.
it is.
Emotional intelligence is about being assertive in your conversation until we come to a place that we can both say we're good. Whether we now we're good doesn't always mean that we agree, but we're good means that you heard me and I heard you, and now this is what we both agree on, and we can move forward. Or we fucking can't move forward. Because sometimes the answer is we fucking can't move forward.
Right, right. That is that. I mean, that's a possibility, but it's not. Like I said, it is what it is. Yeah. So
So
I don't even
anyway,
fucking know how to fucking got
this
on the
show
shit
took a
any
different
fucking way.
turn.
Oh, bow, went left all the way out in outfield right now. You know what I'm saying? All
But
fucking
you know
way in
why? Do
outfield.
you know why that is? Because when something is on the inside of you, right, it's going to ooze out in different ways no matter what you try to do, because it's still something that's festering on the inside of you. And this is
Mm,
why it
oh,
continues to ooze out in different places at different times, because it's some shit that has never been dealt with. So,
you know what? Here's the thing. You know what? And this is true, right? But this is also true. Imagine having um, imagine having a tube of toothpaste in your hand, right? Right?
mhm.
The toothpaste will stay in the motherfucking tube and do what toothpaste is supposed to do. The toothpaste don't motherfucking come out until someone does what? Squeezes that fucking
So
tube.
you're saying I'm the
And
squeezer?
sometimes, and sometimes we'll be talking about certain things, and it's like you squeeze the fucking tube, and then you let go of the tube, then you squeeze the motherfucker again, then you let the motherfucker go, and then you'll squeeze the shit again. And so it's like,
So it's my fault.
what the fuck? So I'm like, why does she keep squeezing this fucking tube?
So it's my
Put the
fault.
toothpaste,
So what exactly did I do
put the
tonight to squeeze
toothpaste,
the tube besides have
put the
regular
toothpaste
conversation?
back. Listen, put the toothpaste back in the motherfucking tube. Stop squeezing the fucking tube.
What did I do tonight to squeeze the tube besides have regular conversation?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. Sometimes the conversations just, get going because you be squeezing the tube, nigga. You be squeezing.
You
Admit
know
that
what?
you are
You know
an
what?
habitual.
I will.
Just
You know
admit
what?
that
If it
you are an
makes you feel
habitual
better,
tube squeezer.
if it makes you feel better, I will admit that I squeeze the tube, but I don't squeeze the tube purposely or with any malicious intent. How about that? I'll be right back.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Sorry, y'all. I mean, to all the viewers out there who have tuned in to Still Radio, I do apologize for uh, this sudden shift and turn in direction. We was talking about Valentine's Day shit, you know what I'm saying? And then somehow we end up taking a hard left and went way the fuck over here in outfield. So I do apologize. I know you guys have absolutely no clue as to what the fuck we're talking about. So this is just mindless chatter right now to you guys. Now, if Brian want to get on and talk about it, we would. But maybe in the best interest of the show, I would probably, me and him will talk about it. We will probably not share the whole story with you guys. Um, and we'll probably just leave it, we'll just probably leave it at that. Okay. So again, my apologies for the hard left turn, but listen, you guys watch the show. Okay. She be squeezing the motherfucking toothpaste tube that she says that she doesn't squeeze.
Are you
She
talking?
knows she be
You
squeezing.
talking bad about me
Huh?
when I'm
What?
not even here?
What? No, no, I would never talk bad about never that. Me? No, I would never do that. Not at all. Um, yeah. So like I said, we was talking about Valentine's Day
Nitra,
and doing
Nitra
some
said I'll be
and doing
applying
some nice
pressure.
shit for Valentine's Day, and then we all the way left on this shit. You know
No,
what I'm saying? Like,
Nitra said it best. Nitra said I'll be applying pressure. I am the type of person in all my relationships, and you can attest to this, that I like to get below the surface, right? I don't want to have just, chit chat. Let's talk. Let's get deep. Let's get to the heart of the matter. And I told you before, you said you always throw me under the bus. And I told you before, I'm never purposely throwing you under the bus. I'm just trying to get deep. Let's get deeper. Let's get to the heart of the matter. And it just always hits you in a deeper place.
well, you know what? That's I would take that part of it. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes though, these conversations will they take a hard left sometime. We just gotta end up bringing it back or whatever. Again, we was talking about Valentine's Day. You know
Okay,
what I'm
Build
saying?
the
And all the
Foundation
good.
says, what was the Valentine's Day topic? So no, Build the Foundation, the initial conversation was about emotional intelligence. It was about when you bring baggage to a relationship, how and when do you feel comfortable unpacking that baggage? It was about trust issues. Somehow we veered off into Valentine's Day and whether people buy gifts and what it's about and that kind of thing. our conversations usually take 12 turns in between the initial conversation, and we're cool with that. You know, when you said earlier, you were saying that people say, is like, was that for real what you said on the show? The thing that I think that is always awesome about our show is that there's nothing that we say on this show. Let me be clear. There's nothing that Paul, myself, or Brian ever says on the show that is just to see how y'all gonna react, or just for ratings, or just for viewers, or just for listeners. All the shit we say on this show is real life. Like, it's shit that we've experienced, it's shit that we felt, it's shit that we've lived. We're all, and that's why I said I wanted my hot topics to be honest, open, and transparent. Like, we're telling you real shit that we've experienced, and it's real stories in our lives. So sometimes maybe it's a little too transparent and we catch our damn selves off guard. But it is what it is.
I mean, shit be going left. Shit goes left. Shit goes left. So, and that's what happens. Shit goes left. So,
but it's 10:02, 11:02 where you are. So we need to.
Yeah, I guess we gotta wrap this up. Yeah, I didn't even get to play the closeout music or nothing. We just slipping on everything today. But we can pick up on this conversation, or we can just move on to something else. You know what I'm saying? Again, most of the audience have no idea what we talk about any daggone way. So maybe it's best to keep it that way. So but
I mean, at the end of the day, friends, family, they have issues, right? Sometimes they have issues that they deal with head on in the moment. Sometimes they have issues that they let fester and they eventually have to get to. And I don't feel any type of way about that. You know what I mean? You know, Paul and Brian have said they've been friends since 7th grade. They fucking are going to have issues sometimes. And sometimes those issues come out on the air. Sometimes me and Paul's issues have come out on the air. We love each other at the end of the day. We have issues. We have history. And it is what it fucking is.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, right. And the only caveat that I would say, then we're going to end this show. No, I'm not even going to like that. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in, Steel Radio. I am your man, Steel. Sorry we didn't get to play the closeout music or none of that, like y'all normally like listening to. But yeah, so I'm Steel. That is Ebony, aka Miss Hot Topic. And today is what's today? Tuesday? Yeah, so then
Thursday.
Please tune in Thursday night at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, and I don't know, probably some more dirt.
Tell me, do y'all like it when I post ahead of time what the topic is going to be, or do y'all like to just show up and be surprised? Y'all, you don't have to answer now. Hit me in my inbox and tell me, so we know what we're doing.
Until then, peace out. We out of here. See y'all Thursday. Good night.